Your attention, please.
Give me a little intro there, Gomer.
Off to Neverland!
Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
If you had wings, had wings, had wings.
Look, Figment, some new friends have joined us.
Can they imagine too?
Of course!
Everybody's got a laughing place to go. And our destiny begins with you and me.
Just make believe you're a tiny little seed.
Dead men tell no tale.
Hello there, this is the Dreamfinder, your unemployed host of the old Journey into Imagination. If you have any work, please get back to me, but in the meantime, you're listening to WDW Radio.
WDW Radio, your information station.
You found that spot on the dial. Give a listen and stay for a while. Time for us to say hello.
WDW Radio.
News and rumors and interviews. Trivia, history, and review. All the Disney stuff you need to know.
WDW Radio.
It's time to hear all about a magical place. Disney World will always put a smile on your face. Now the time is almost here. Sit right down, put on your mouse ears. Who's all ready? Let's get on with the show.
WDW Radio.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the WDW Radio Show, your Walt Disney World information station. I am your host, Lou Mongello, and this is show number 100 for the week of January 4th, 2009. Thank you so much for joining me to celebrate 100 shows. And to celebrate, what we're going to do is, I thought it would be fun to gather some guests and some friends of the show, together look back at the first 100 shows. We'll talk about some of our favorite guests, memorable and some funny moments, and so much more as Glenn Whalen, Tim Foster, Lori Burke, and George Taylor join me around the virtual roundtable to look back and forward at the show. And of course, no anniversary show would be complete without playing back some favorite and memorable clips. So sit back and listen as I tune the dial through some of the memorable moments of the first 100 shows. If you haven't heard all the shows as yet, it might even give you a reason to go back and listen to an episode that you may have missed or highlight some of the ones you may have enjoyed. I'll update you on our 100% for 100 shows fundraising drive with Pat Whitson before announcing the winner of last week's contest. I'll play some of your voicemails at the end of the show, so as always, please sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's 100th anniversary episode of the WDW Radio Show. I have to admit that I cannot believe that I've hit 100 episodes of the WDW Radio Show, because when Mouse Tunes ended back on February 4th, 2007, I knew immediately that I was going to move forward with an all-new show on my own. And I have to admit, that was a very, very scary time for me but it was something I was still very excited about doing. And that very next week, on February 11th, 2007, the very first episode of the WDW radio show aired. And it was significant, not just because it was the first, but really because it was only about 6.5 minutes long, which is about how long my intros go at this point. But thankfully, many of you followed me to the new show. Many more of you found the show along the way, and now 100 weeks and 100 shows later, I get to share this milestone with you. And so many of you emailed me asking what I was going to do for the 100th episode. I mean, going back, 5, 6, 7 weeks. And I looked at a lot of those emails with that same blank stare when I was handed the essay portion of the bar exam, when it was put in front of me, just having no idea what to do. So I thought that maybe rather than doing the obligatory clip show, even though I'll likely include the obligatory clip show as part of this episode, or reminisce about 100 episodes on my own, I thought it'd be fun to hear from other people maybe about what they thought about the first 100 shows. So, like Kermit says in Muppet Vision 3D, I invited some of my most world-renowned guests to help us here, but unfortunately, none of them showed up. I'm kidding, of course, because this week I'm joined by 4 people who have not only made multiple appearances on the show with me, but whom I consider some of my very best friends. And in no particular order other than ladies first, I want to welcome back Lori, co-host for the day, Burke, from WeWantTheRedhead.blogspot.com. Lori, welcome.
Hey, Lou, I am honored and so excited to be here.
I am thrilled to have you here. Even if nobody else shows up, I'm thrilled to have you here.
Now, I have to pay another $100 to be on the show, right?
Absolutely. Next, the man who shares a name with the lead character from Planet of the Apes, George the Librarian Taylor from ImagineNerding.com. George, my friend, welcome back, and thank you for bringing funnel cake.
Oh, of course, and M&Ms and everything else I could find with it. But it's more exciting to be here with Lori. Never been on a podcast with a woman before. Should be interesting. What? Who?
I'm glad I'm your first.
And next on the list is Glenn, Dr. Passamaquoddy Whalen from Passamaquoddy.blog.com, the funniest little fishing village this side of the Magic Kingdom. Welcome back, buddy.
Lou, it's awesome to be here on your 100th episode.
Thank you very much. And last, certainly not least, is Tim, stop calling me Samantha Brown already, Foster, from Guide to the Magic, and my partner on Celebrations Magazine. Welcome back, my friend.
I knew you would sneak Samantha in there somewhere.
Oh, she'll be mentioned more than once on this episode.
100 episodes be like?
Exactly. She will actually be mentioned on this show, not in context of Tim Foster.
Yeah, episode 53, and what was the other one she was in? Episode 62.
And the shrine I have to her here in the studio, so. But, let me just start off, guys, seriously, by saying thanks not just for joining me this week, but on so many episodes. I certainly couldn't have reached 100 without you guys, and I really do appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thanks, George.
Thank you. Thanks.
I was like, I know there's to be a big blank spot there. I was like, I better say something.
And I almost wish that the show would have fallen 1 week after when it would going to be down for Marathon Weekend, because it would have been a lot of fun to do this maybe live right from Walt Disney World, but alas, timing is everything. So
as you're running, we would have been recording. I would have run it with you with Glenn in tow. So
yeah, Glenn can hold the computer.
That's
right. You run.
I'll be on a Java cart.
I said during my very long and boring intro, according to George, that I wasn't really sure what to do with the show and with this episode. And so I thought it would be fun if we all sort of took a look back. And I know this is going to be very, very challenging for probably all of you, since I don't think any of you actually listen to any shows that you weren't on. But hopefully the show notes archive was helpful to you, Tim Foster.
What? I listen to each and every one.
I'm sure you religiously, over and over again. But
that's what I promised I would tell you.
Thank you. And listen, maybe if you guys want along the way, because we are kind of just winging this to a certain degree, I will keep my finger placed firmly above the stop/edit/delete button. But if there's something that you want to ask me about the show or question that you may have asked, keep it clean, Tim Foster, you can feel free.
Wow.
You're getting a bad reputation, aren't you?
Yes, undeserved. But thanks everyone for the cream spinach on my doorstep that I got for Christmas.
Of course. I mean, with nothing less or nothing more. Something like that.
So, I obviously I prepared for this as well, and I went back and I was looking through the archive, and I'm going through some of the older shows, and I was listening to some of the older episodes, and I actually went back to the very beginning, and like I said, it was very scary going from the old show out onto my own for so many different reasons. And I listened to that first show, that first 6.5 minute show. It was so bad, and I sounded so dry. I don't know how anybody kept on listening, but thank you all so much for hanging in there with me.
I listened to it last night, and I'm still having nightmares.
That was a painful 6.5 minutes, wasn't it?
Very painful. I'd rather have a root canal.
Now, honestly, that was your opportunity to be like, no, Lou, it was great, and it was, your first show. Glenn, go ahead, help me out here.
I was just going to say that, even though it was quaint, there was enough charm in there, Lou, to keep us coming back.
Well,
okay, butt kisser.
Dude,
wow.
You just blew George Taylor out of the water for the Lou Mongello Butt Kissing Award of 2008.
Nice.
I'm going to make you an award for that one.
Well, see, I was going to say one of my favorite episodes of all time, I have to pull my entire list out here, was episode number 41. I don't know if anyone knows why that one is just so special.
I love episode 41.
The Yak and Yeti review. Yeah, you're kissing butt now. Wow.
I've got it written down here, episode 41. So I don't know why. But something down here.
The one thing I will say about episode 1, and that's something that I've done consistently for every show since then, was I had so much fun right off the bat with the old-time radio tunes and the sound clips, and it's something that I really, really enjoy doing, and hopefully I'm not the only one who kind of enjoys listening to them. Some of the old ones, trying to identify what they are.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's always fun, and I always wonder where you get all that stuff from. So.
But the other thing that I noticed, too, was it's really funny how the shows got progressively longer and longer. My first 3 shows were 6.5 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour and 35 minutes. 3 weeks later, I'm 2 hours. 2 hours of a show. So
what's the record?
The record is just a hair over 2 hours. I think it was like 2 hours. I really tried. And there was one show I actually edited for like ever, and I was cutting out little ums and ers and seconds, so I could get the show down to like 1:59:58 because I think it just looks better than 2 hours in iTunes. It's like $1.99 looks so much less than $2 to me.
Yeah, it's the show where Lou took out all the verbs. No verbs on the whole show. Let's just go.
Well, I think we can break that record tonight.
Probably. But I look, and I figure I probably average about 90 minutes per show. So if you do the math, 100 shows, that's 9,000 minutes. And I did a little bit of math. I knew that calculus would come in handy one of these days. That's the same as 450 trips around the Magic Kingdom on the Walt Disney World Railroad. 1,000 showings. Imagine this. Sit through 1,000 showings of the Enchanted Tiki Room under new management, not the original. 563 voyages on your favorite lorry, Pirates of the Caribbean. 818 trips to the Haunted Mansion. 409 trips through the movies on the Great Movie Ride. In context, 693 times seeing Drew Carey in Sounds Dangerous.
Yum.
And 3,000 trips past the Yeti in B mode.
There you go.
I don't know who's nerdier now, you or George.
Hey. I bow to the master. Wow, that's pretty impressive. And that's all the rides you did this year, right?
That is, well, I was going to put it in context of food and meals, and I tried to figure out how long it would take me to eat a meal, how many meals I would have eaten in Disney World in 9,000 minutes, but...
3.
Well, but with Glenn ducking in and out, one restaurant to another, changing his clothes. See, the whole episode, Lou, you should have made it a contest where we do little hidden in-jokes, and the people have to write in and figure out what the in-jokes were to prove they listen.
But see, that's not fair to the people that are new listeners that are like, guys, I have no idea what you're talking about. I can't keep up. You guys are making all kinds of jokes that I don't get. Goodbye, Charlie. They're going to move over somewhere else to a much, much shorter show.
That wouldn't be fair to me either. So.
Exactly. Since
Timmel. He's only listened to 10 of the episodes.
That's why I always recommend listen to episode number 1. That's all you need to hear. That's 6 minutes. Before all that stuff started happening, everything is clear.
Well, what you should have done is how many times you'd have to listen to episode 1 of your show
to get to 6,000.
To equal the 90,000 minutes that you've done. After listening to episode 1 42,000 times.
I don't think I would wish that on my worst enemy.
You know what? You know what, Burke? That's the second time. One more time, and you might mysteriously drop off this call.
I can call you back.
Why don't we replay episode 1 right here, right now?
No.
Yeah.
That is a bad idea.
I am Lou Mangello.
I am a robot. I am by myself. And you know, it took me hours to record that. It did. I am not too proud to admit it took me hours to do it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I should maybe put a little less thought into what I was doing back then. I should just winged it like this. But so all right, let's just for argument's sake say that you guys have actually listened to shows other than ones or just the segments that you guys have been on. Do any of you, and I'll just sort of throw it out there, have any, favorite or funny or interesting or dare I even say educational moments that you guys really liked looking back? Ladies first, Lori. Or Glenn. Ladies first, Glenn. Whatever you prefer.
No, let Glenn go first.
Well, cool. I was just going to say that I don't have like a card catalog of the episode numbers. But I do have.
What are you saying? What are you saying, Glenn?
Well, no, that's not an insult. I just know that there are certain things that stick out for me that I enjoyed extremely, but I don't know what episode numbers they were. I really appreciate many of the. Did we lose somebody?
No, I'm here. Where are you?
Okay, I'm sorry.
We were enwrapped.
I'm waiting here with bated breath.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the tens of listeners that are waiting to favor us with this list.
I gotta tell my mom to turn up the computer.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So anyway, I was saying one of the things I really look forward to were the interviews that you had with some of the people. Obviously, I think everybody agrees that the Sherman interview was incredible. But even some of the smaller interviews with Jason Zucker or Steve Kirk or Charlie Ridgway, those were some that I really appreciated and had a good time listening to those episodes at least twice.
Wow. And what about you guys? Were there any of the interviews that you, other than your own, of course, were there any of the other interviews that sort of stuck out in your mind that you liked or found interesting?
Oh, yeah. Of course, when you interview Jason Sorrell, of course, an author, one of my favorites. I was like, woo, got to get all of his books. But I agree with Glenn. The Charles Ridgway one was fantastic. All the Imagineers that you've been able to interview, it's just wonderful to be able to go back and listen to them. But I think one of my favorite ones of all the interviews that you did was with Ron Schneider, the Dream Finder, back with episode number 34, since I do have a catalog of all of these and tattooed on my arm right here, so I can go back to my favorites. I just thought that one was just such a great sense of humor. He had a great sense of humor. You guys had good chemistry, shared a lot of information about the Dreamfinder attraction. I thought it was fantastic. And, you interviewed Lee Cockrell recently, which is great to hear another author. But, it's like Glenn said, a lot of these interviews with Imagineers, some of the people behind the scenes that did a lot of this.
Don Dorsey was another one that was incredible.
Yeah, the one thing about the guests that I've had on, I've had the shows afford me the opportunity to meet and talk to so many people that I obviously wouldn't have had otherwise. People either whose work I personally admired or who I thought would be interesting, or maybe none of us knew them by name, like a Jason Zucker, but we enjoy what they did. And then some others, they just couldn't believe that I was talking to, and others that were just so fun to chat with, like a Ron Schneider. I have to say, Tim, and I'm not talking about you here, Samantha Brown.
I was going to say, I feel like I have to say Samantha.
Like, that was really big for me personally, probably because it's the first person that I had on, like, that my mom and non-Disney fans knew who she was, probably plus also the first guest that I would have enjoyed dating. And I actually think that I asked her out on her second appearance. I invited her to join me on Finding Nemo the Musical, and somebody was like, Lou, do you know you just asked Samantha Brown out? And I'm still waiting to hear back from her or her attorneys on that.
But, it wasn't asked out.
Listen, I'm still holding out hope, okay?
So Tim, for the next show, the top 10 celebrities that Lou has hit on during the show.
If it's once to hit on, I already got 5 on. And I think everybody knows anyway.
Look, I've put it out there, and I'm holding out hope that someday a listener will know Jennifer Love Hewitt and be like, yeah, Lou, sure, I'd be happy to introduce you to her. You never know.
Technically date.
Can I date? Is that what you said?
Her? No, can you date little Leota? or would that be impractical?
Okay, so I've admitted on the show...
We've had some very disturbing moments.
Yeah.
Centering around little Leota.
Yeah, there probably could be... You could probably do a top 10 disturbing moments or uncomfortable moments. My unhealthy obsession with little Leota, Divine...
There we go.
Food.
Why don't we stay on this topic for a while?
Why don't we not? Why don't we move? Because I want to. Go ahead.
I was going to say that I also enjoyed episode 82 where you interviewed the guys from the Muppet Vision that helped create that with Jim Henson, Jim Lewis, and Craig Sherman. That was fantastic. But I'll have to bow down to Glenn. I think the Richard Sherman interview was wow. The piece de la resistance, or whatever it is.
Definitely.
Resistance fighting.
Yeah. And he made fun of my French when I was talking about the parfumerie. So
yeah,
I will tell you that
it's like Jersey. You're smelling me. So, I just have an entire state now. It's going to hunt me down and kill me. That's great. So.
I think it extends beyond the state, but Richard Sherman. I agree. Like when I was able to talk to him, I think of all the interviews I've done, I was most nervous for because of the magnitude of what he's done. The person I was so happy to talk to personally and it was a really big deal for me. I mean, whether anybody else had listened, whether anybody else had enjoyed it, that's something that I personally liked. And there's other people too, and I hate to name names because I don't want to seem like I'm singling anybody out because every guest I appreciate and value, but
George.
Like,
thank you, Glenn.
Like so George McGinnis, who, again, he's one of those old school Imagineers that most people don't know his name, but he worked on so many classics. I mean, he did so much. His work was so appreciated, but most people don't know. And he was so humble, and he was so thankful and so appreciative. And I'm like, Mr. McGinnis, you just don't understand, how much what you've done means to us. I talked to Michael Broggie, whose father really was, one of the first Imagineers, but hearing his stories about Walt Disney from a child's eyes, getting that perspective was really unique for me. And I thought J.D. Roth was pretty cool too, from Walt Disney World Inside Out.
Was pretty cool.
Have you heard about them bringing the show back, Lou? I mean, is this a...
I have not. I have J.G. nor Samantha have returned my calls.
Okay. So it's Walt Disney World Inside Out with J.D. Roth and his friend Lou Mangello. Special guest Jennifer Love Hewitt. And Samantha Brown. And we see how Little Leota was made.
I smell Emmy. I'm just saying. I smell...
I smell something.
Yeah, who's Emmy? I was like, no, that's the Jersey Shore.
Okay.
Yeah, but so many of the guys, other Imagineers like Sully Sullivan and, guys who are present in the company now, Marty Sklar and Dave Smith, even guys who aren't, like Steve Barrett and, he's Justin Michoni. I love that guy. I love the CMO, Justin Michoni.
Oh, Justin.
I love his job.
Yeah. I definitely love his job. I love the perks. He's like,
I don't mean to harken back, but there's one thing I have to say about the Sherman interview. He's somebody that I have seen interviewed hundreds of times, and one of the things I always thought was very interesting about him is he sort of meanders, and he stays off topic, and most interviews end up being funny because they end up getting so far off topic and out of control. And your interview with him was the first time I ever had a cohesive interview with somebody. So you did an excellent job of keeping him on track by allowing him to talk, and he actually had a beginning, a closing, a middle, and a closing.
Wow, I'm not even going to make a joke. That was very nice. Thank you.
Oh, wow, I got to bring my A game.
Well, you know what, though? Honestly, like, when I do an interview, I have to say, when I do an interview with him or with anybody, I take the time and I research and I prepare and I'm ready for the interview, because at the very least, not only do I want to know and be prepared, but I think that they deserve that. They deserve that respect. If he's going to take the time to sit and talk with me and do this, at the very least, he deserves the respect of me being prepared to interview him properly, as opposed to just, okay, Richard, go ahead, tell me your story, and let him go off. So thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And we're done. I'm done here. I'm going off on a high note.
I was going to say, how prepared were you for this interview?
Clearly not very. So, and
and I mentioned Don Dorsey briefly, and so many people love like the music and everything of Illuminations, but who we now have a name to put behind that sort of entertainment, because nobody really knew who that person was behind all that.
True. And that's why I like having some of these other guys on, guys like Jason Zucker and Mark Sepula, and you're going to hear from some other guys like Ron Cohey, names that you don't know, but you see their work in the parks, you see their work in the attractions or in the merchandise or on a pin, or you hear their music. And I want to bring to light some of those people that don't get the recognition that they deserve, because they are so incredibly talented, and we talk about creating magic, and that's what they do. And that's why you might be like, well, who is this guy? But hopefully you appreciate some of what they did, maybe the journey as to how they got where they are. But you mentioned music, Glenn, and we talk about music being so important. I have to say, one of my favorite segments that we ever did was the roundtable about the 7 wonders, and one of them being music. And that's one of the ones I enjoy.
Episode 26. You got to throw the number out. Episode 26.
Look at the librarian, man, with the Dewey Decimal System going over there. Awesome.
And it was the 5th wonder, in case you need to know.
Oh, Lori, very nice. See that, Tim Foster, you see how prepared they come? You see how ready they brought
the first one?
I had them all written down, but the first one, I can't find it.
You know why you can't find the
That
first
was during
one?
Mouse Tunes.
It was during Mouse Tunes.
Who was the first wonder of the world?
It was Spaceship Earth.
Ah.
It was Spaceship Earth.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Right, and we are going to revisit Spaceship Earth again. We're definitely going to revisit Spaceship Earth again, or maybe I did.
Right now?
Right now, we're going to do it. I hope you brought your A game, because
I'm not dressed. I need to.
I need start in there. It's okay.
Going somewhere.
But that round table about the music was definitely one of my favorite segments. And again, other than the ones that you were on, are there other segments that sort of stuck out in your mind, George Taylor? Because I know you were like, well, George Taylor was on episode number 93.
I was going to say, I was on all 7 of these episodes right here. No, I think the Horizons DSI was fantastic. Such a great trip down memory lane. I think you got a lot of comments about that. And of course, I already mentioned that the episode that Glenn appeared on with the Yak and Yeti. I was a little disappointed that Glenn got to be on the show before I did, but you didn't invite me on until right before we went to Disneyland, which of course.
Hey, now wait a minute. You all got to be on, and I had to pay to be on.
You didn't have to pay, just so you know. You did not have to pay.
Yeah.
I had to pay.
Yeah, my check counts. So.
Oh, Foster, after this week, you're going to continue to have to pay, my friend.
Yeah.
Oh,
the 09 rates just went up, just so you know.
Ooh, just for that. But I think one of the funniest moments on the show ever was spoken by Mr. Glenn Whalen. I know he's probably blushing right now, but he doesn't have his video cam on. It was during the Mouse Fest recap, which is basically a 45-minute tribute to my brother and my brother and me. It was fantastic for our last Mouse Fest. But it was when Mr. Jeff Pepper had lost his phone while I was getting on or off the monorail. And you can't hear it, but in the background you hear Glenn go, "Please stand clear of my phone." And it was just, I'm driving home. I almost killed 14 people that were next to me. It was hysterical. One of the most sublime moments on the show, period, except for the one that Lou does later, which we'll talk about. But it's awesome, Glenn. I have to bow down to you for that one. It was just brilliant. And, that's going to be my Facebook status for the rest of my life. Please stand clear of my phone.
It was an awkward moment for me because there was no reaction.
Well, I was laughing. I think I texted you or called you immediately, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so funny!" But just because nobody else appreciates you, Glenn, I appreciate you.
Now, what's the Spanish version of "Please stand clear of my phone"?
Por favor, no tengo alejanos de los teléfonos.
Wow!
I'm going to be getting a letter from the Spanish embassy any minute now.
Duh, man. That is awesome. That is
All right, George.
Totally wrong, but it's awesome.
You alluded to what I think I know that you're talking about as one of the other funniest moments, and I think it's at my expense.
Yeah, completely at your expense, as is everything we're doing tonight.
This is going to turn into a roast very quickly, I think.
Well, yes, it is. I got to spend 4 amazing days in Disneyland with you, Jeff Pepper, and Eric Hollister. And besides not getting a lot of sleep, because nobody wanted to sleep with 3 other guys, and they were afraid they were going to put shaving cream on them or, cut their hair funny or do something, when we're walking around and having a good time. But we come back to do the recap, because basically Lou needed filler for the show for the week, I'm assuming. But we're talking about the whole show and everything that we loved and everything that we did, and the differences between Disneyland and the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. And we get back to Critter Country, and we start to talk about the differences between the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, the rides on both coasts. And Lou exclaims, he couldn't believe it. I'm going to mess it up right now. We walked on Pooh. We walked on Pooh right away. And it was just, we all kind of stopped, and we're like, did he just say that? Did he just say that? Yeah, and it's still my 10-year-old's favorite moment of the whole show. And he thinks that's probably the highlight of we walked on Pooh. We walked on Pooh.
You have Splash Mountain, which obviously is a part of Walt Disney World's Frontierland, and the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which I'll take a brief second to mention. It's all the way, in the back, farthest corner of the dead end of the park, and I wrote it because I was curious to see the differences. And although I'm not a huge fan of the Walt Disney World version, nor do I understand the 60, 75, 90-minute waits, I really, really liked the Disneyland version of Winnie the Pooh. I thought it told the story better. I thought the effects were better. I thought the transitions were from sort of scene to scene as opposed to room to room. And if you've ridden both, maybe you understand what I'm talking about. But I thought Pooh was a really nice... And we walked on it. We walked on Pooh.
Yeah, Lou, you're right.
Lou, I don't think I would have laughed if you hadn't been so gosh darn passionate about it.
I love Pooh. I just love Pooh.
Oh, this has to make the show. It has to.
I'm not cutting it out, so please keep the Pooh jokes to a minimum and move along. Nothing to see here. And you know what? I was not intentional. I swear to you, I just said it, and I'm like, what? What's so funny?
We got to watch where you're stepping, Lou.
Exactly.
Hey, what episode is that? I need to download that.
Oh, I got it.
Everyone's got it? All right.
Show 58, March 16th.
58.
And just so you know, Glenn, George, it wasn't filler.
My new ringtone.
It was why every Walt Disney World fan needs to visit Disneyland.
Yes.
So they can step on Pooh?
So that they can walk on Pooh.
No, so they can walk on Pooh.
They can walk on Pooh.
You can walk on
Pooh Bear.
Yeah, see, that was also my favorite episode because it was the second episode after I was on.
I was going to say, you were on that one. And then I think that you were on again.
Yeah, with
not
like
long
Jeff,
thereafter. You started doing some segments on books.
Mm-hmm. Books or something like that.
Yeah,
so
something like that.
You keep trying to break me out of that, but I'm like, no, I love my
You want to come back to the books?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did like the first book. The first segment was like the 5 books every Disney geek has to own.
Yeah. And you did stop me after a half hour going, okay, let's talk about the next book now.
Well, you talk about Pirates of the Caribbean from the Magic Kingdom to the movies for like 45 minutes. I didn't want to be rude, but, enough.
It's Jason Sorrell's book. Come on. Jeez. Anyway, so yes, those were my 2 favorite moments. And Tim, you've been so quiet.
I'm not allowed to talk about my favorite moments. Top 10 favorite.
Give us your top 10, Tim.
No, wait a minute. A good segue would be one of my favorite episodes was episode number 38, where Tim Foster appeared with the top 10 spookiest things at something like at Walt Disney World or something.
That was 38? All right. Wait, I got to mark
Yeah. So you were on pretty early.
Wow, you've been on that long, Tim?
Wow, it's been a year ago.
Apparently.
No, it was the top 10 places to jump out and scare tiny children.
No, that we sneak one of those in every top 10.
Gotcha,
like
that's
Lou,
what it is.
Don't say we. Don't lump me in your,
right, I sneak that in, and Lou sneaks in 7 things to eat.
These are the top 7 things I ate this morning that reminded me of Walt Disney World.
Mine are far less brutal than yours are.
Scary powdered sugar. What?
Powdered sugar? Oh.
All right, so Tim, tell us what some of your favorite moments are, or your favorite top 10s.
I'll tell you what one of my favorite things, because actually y'all kind of touched on the ones I would have said, because they're the only ones I could think of. But, in all seriousness, when I play the episodes that I'm on, and others, from my mother and grandmother and all that, I gotta tell you, Lou, the one thing you do that is I never get. It always gets me is like when we're doing the things on like right now, I hear it before you edit it and all that kind of stuff. But when you do your thing and you get the sound effects and the music clips and all that, that's so cool. And my wife loves that. Whenever we listen to the show, she goes, "I love that music. I love that song." And that's why I'm going for the subtle thing here because it's really amazing how you bring everything to life. I like when we were doing the spooky moments, and I'm hearing, "Hey, there's that howling in the back," but I don't remember hearing that when I was talking to you and all that.
So obviously, all Lou has to do is play theme park music for like an hour and a half, and we'll make so many people happy. That's it.
I'll tell you something. It is the most time-consuming part of what I do, trying to find the appropriate music or edit clips or do whatever, insert them. But it's some of the most fun I have, and that's usually what I'm up doing at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning because it's quiet and I can just work. And when I sort of get going and get on that roll, it's something I really enjoy. And I don't want it to be about the music or the sounds. It just sort of enhance and accompany the content that you guys are helping me bring to the show each week. But
right.
Yeah, content
for the most part, yeah, I try.
Can we do huge? Are you going to take requests now? Can you play something behind me right now?
What am I, Wolfman Jack?
What kind of? You just play your podcast underneath us, so it's got all.
Keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. I'm Casey Kasem.
You said what about Samantha Brown? What'd you say? Keep your hands on the ground.
Whoa, kid friendly.
No,
kids book,
keep your feet on the ground. Is that what you said? What?
Just so you know, folks, that's imaginerding.com. You can direct all your comments there. Lori,
So can I talk about my favorites now?
Yeah, and tell us about your favorite books, because get ready for the future segments that you're going to be coming on to discuss.
Okay, well then we got to segue, because episode 86 was when Lori was on.
85, get it right.
I know, I'm just making sure you're awake.
Hey, I'm fine. You guys are all just taking over. That's okay.
Well, we were saving the best for last, and the best, and I will tell you, Lori, that to this day, and I mean this sincerely, I cannot tell you how impressed and moved and thankful I am for what you did for the Dream Team by donating $500 at Magic Meets to come on the show for free, which is what you could have done, and I will never forget that. And I'm forever grateful.
Yay!
Wow. Very nice, Lori.
You're so sweet. Well, that's okay, because in honor of your 100th show, I'm going to go in and donate $100.
Wow. And you know what? I'll match that.
Wow.
Okay, who else? Come on, guys, step up.
We're all voices.
I think Tim Foster just dropped out again.
Lost him.
Hello.
I'll say wow.
The connection just got really bad.
So, Lori, go ahead and tell us about your favorite moments.
Really, honestly, for me, my favorite episodes are the ones where you do like the roundtables where everybody's talking. I can relate to those more, like when we talk about Mouse Fest, like before going, after Mouse Fest, the marathon roundtables. I don't know. For me, I guess as a fan in a tourist going down, I can relate to that stuff a lot better than probably the restaurant reviews. But that's just me being me.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Listen, don't start dissing the food, okay? That's my life. That's my lifeblood right there.
I'm not dissing the food, but yeah, talking about the whole, Mouse Fest last year, Mouse Fest this year, it was great because being there, I get to relive all those great memories too. So, for me, it's a better connection.
And that's what I try and do. Is I try and honestly bring a balance to the show so that there's something for the first time visitor, or the visitor gets to go once every 3 years, or the hardcore trivia fan that's old school Epcot, and the people that do get to go down, and share some of these things, or maybe the ones that don't get to go down and want to be introduced to things like Mouse Fest or Magic Meets or some of the other things that we do. So, and I'm always careful to try not to sound like I'm just talking about our great memories and haha you weren't there, but include them in part of what we're doing and in part of what we did, and encourage them to come down next time and be part of all the food and festivities.
Yeah, I think it makes people feel like they actually were there, though. Like when you and Mike talked about marathon, I mean, it got me so excited to go. There I am.
Running.
Tracy and I are signing up, crazy as can be, doing it, 2 weeks or a week.
Wow, have you been practicing for it, Lori?
Not as much as I should be.
Oh,
I'm following Lou's advice and I'm carb loading. Now.
Not on cookies.
Dunkin' Donuts work very, very well 2 weeks before the marathon.
I started carb loading in 1984.
I'll be down there a couple days before, so we'll eat some donuts, maybe some ice cream.
And Glenn works it off on Dance Dance Revolution anyway. So
yeah, there we go. We'll do that too. Get some extra training in.
Lou, with everything that everybody's been saying, we're having a lot of fun with it and everything. But I think it's important to note that because of the different formats and the different things that you do have on your show, we all get an opportunity to discuss in our own way a passion of ours. George comes on and is able to talk about one of the 10 new books that he's read, and he's got a passion there, and he gets to get that passion out, and there's other people who listen to the show that will share in that passion. I've been on many times talking about food, talking about restaurant reviews, etc. We've had roundtable discussions where a bunch of people get together and have different points of view and everything. But I think it's important to note that you've created an environment where people are comfortable of sharing their passions.
Wow, yeah, that's
the end.
Yeah,
Yay, Lou.
Yay, Lou.
Well, no, and look, I couldn't, and I mean this, I could not do this alone. I mean, I couldn't do this without you guys, and you all bring something different to the table. You all bring a different opinion, a different area of expertise. Glenn, maybe it's eating, but and that's what I enjoy is doing these things with you guys as opposed to doing a segment alone. Trust me, people don't want to hear me talk about things on my own, so I enjoy these as well, and that's why I appreciate everybody that's come on the show. And again, I hate picking out people individually, but all you guys have been a part of the show being able to continue to 100 episodes.
Wow, is this one of those top 10 sappiest, cryingest moments?
No, we did that. We did that.
No, but I will tell you, Tim, my top 100, top 10 segments, and the ones that elicited the most response were the
top
ones
100, top 10
were the ones that I never would have expected. The ones that I was kind of iffy about doing when you
like
threw
the
it
smells.
out. The smells and the sounds. The smells got so much response, whether it's on the forums, emails, voicemails. I could not believe it, and I'm like, people are gonna see top 10 smells. They're gonna be like, Lou, you've lost your mind. And I would have honestly thrown you under the bus, Tim, if that didn't work out. But
hey, you're a musty water smell guy.
Listen,
which was the favorite smell of all?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Musty water actually beat out funnel cake, if you can believe that.
Ooh, musty water smelling.
Not in the top 10 snacks. It did.
And that was probably my favorite one, the top 10 snacks, because researching is really the most important part of the show. So enjoying the top 10 snacks. So.
Can I tell everybody when we think of a new topic, your suggestions, their first three are always top 10 snacks in Magic Kingdom?
It is not.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
The top 10 snacks during my hotel stay at Mouse Fest.
Top 10 things in the mini bar.
I think we need to do the top 10 drinks in Walt Disney World.
Oh, well. Blue suede shoes.
Blue suede shoes.
I'm going to tell you about the top 10 things I've been
I wrote a kid's book.
Eating during this segment.
A kid's book.
You know what, Tim? As long as I'm being, giving sincere thanks, you actually did the WDW radio show logo.
Yes, what a cool logo that was.
And I very much appreciate all your work.
Okay, now you need to say that like 100 more times that, Tim did your logo.
Wow. Guess what? Lou paid me in food. And he had some.
Tim, you got paid? What?
Food.
Imaginerding.com, Imaginerding.com, Imaginerding.com. There you go. Now
that was worth a nickel. Thanks.
Oh, gosh.
And I was deeply honored to do that logo. I was very sincerely proud to do that.
Well, because you knew down the road that you'd want him to do a magazine with you.
Exactly.
The whole thing
I was
sucked him into that
buttering
magazine.
him up. And the million emails, can you move it over a little bit? Can we try it in purple? It's all worth it. All worth it.
Listen, I was trying to hone your Microsoft paint skills as much as I could. So.
Wow. Well, I just think the balloons on the question mark are fantastic. So,
and that's exactly what they are.
Thank you.
Exactly.
I mean, and again, there's so many people who aren't here that I want to thank, like Dave and Kathy Roshoni. Out of the blue, out of nowhere, he decides to come up with the radio show theme song, and that is
I love that theme song.
And I am not singing that. It is not me
Glenn,
singing.
sing it.
Well, no. I mean, that's not me
Start
singing
it, Lori,
on
start
the
it.
recording.
No, Glenn's got to start. We sang it Everest weekend.
We sang it
That's already existing. That's
around the
already
non-existent campfire. We sang it.
That's right.
So
Oh, Glenn sang it. We just
Glenn sang
Top 10 renditions. Buddy, send him in.
Call him in on the voicemail.
Yeah. That'll be the next week's show. Just 2.5 hours of people singing the theme song over and over.
Oh, the best one was Nick.
Yeah, my son. Out of nowhere, we're down at my parents' restaurant, and he sees one of my audio guides, and he goes, WDW radio show, and he starts singing the theme song, and I'm like, Nick, wait, you got to stop, and I'm calling into the voicemail. I'm like, come on cue. What is that? And so yeah, I played it at the for those of you that actually make it to the very, very end of the shows when I play the voicemails, his was the end, maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, whatever it was. So
it was great.
Yeah.
That's a memory. That's a memory that'll last a lifetime. So.
Now, did he get paid for that?
He did get paid. I'm going to plug his new podcast, which he's starting next week.
Is it about Buzz Lightyear and pancakes?
It is. So, and as long as I'm giving out thanks, I mean, for all those people that for weeks and weeks and weeks have emailed and called in, taking the time to call in voicemails, whether it's from home or from work or from the parks. I just think that's so awesome that you guys take the time to do that, because it means a lot to me to sort of get that type of feedback, because for the most part the podcast is kind of just a one-way me talking to you. So when I'm able to hear back from listeners via email and voicemail, I just think that's really cool, and I really do appreciate that. So
a virtual you're welcome, I guess.
Well, thank you for responding on behalf of the listeners.
Oh, exactly.
So
we went through a bunch of episodes and things that we liked because of the radio show. But one of the things I think is so interesting are things that happen because of the radio show that aren't necessarily.
Like world peace.
World peace is the end of global warming. That was all stuff.
The gas price is going down. You can thank me.
The increase in the price of.
When Lori was talking about sitting around that fire with I don't know, there was 90 people sitting around the fire singing the WDW.
There was 9.
Okay.
Why do you got to do that, Lori? Why do you got to just come on? Let the illusion, don't spoil the magic.
There might have been 9 people, but there was 90-part harmony. Okay.
It was 90 degrees out. Sitting by the fire.
And actually, when the WDW radio contest happened, everybody got all excited, and they were all participating and getting involved in the big Adventureland contest. And that kind of stuff is really cool, and it makes it more than just one singular podcast. It makes it like a little world.
And quick thanks to Eric Hollister, who he did the marathon. Remember the marathon challenge contest, that 13-week contest that we did, and then he was a big help with the Adventureland challenge contest too. And that's where it is. I mean, that's what I try and do with the show, and hopefully this comes through, is that, I always wanted people to feel like they were listening to a friend. They're sitting across, a booth at a diner listening to a friend talk about Disney. And whether we've met or not, I've always considered all listeners my friends, and I hope that kind of comes across. But I actually, when I was making my notes, I kind of wrote down a list of top 2,000 things I've learned, or I've received, or I've gained, or I'm thankful for.
2,000 things?
Yeah, so sit back and relax.
Don't worry, guys. I'm used to this at the end of every episode. He's got 50.
Shut up, Tim Foster.
Wow, I better go to the bathroom first.
No, I'm only kidding.
We'll all put our headsets down and we'll come back in a half hour. He'll still be going.
You know what? I'm not going to say nice things about you guys anymore.
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, Lou, we love you.
Ooh, burn.
But you mentioned the marathon, and like that, I never would have done the half marathon had it not been for the show. And I certainly wouldn't have finished it without everybody else's encouragement and support. When I hear somebody like Lori say, well, if Lou Mangello can do it, I can certainly do it. So I'm happy that I was able to help you in your endeavor. And you'll be thinking of me about mile 10, saying, what am I doing here again?
Now, see, I think back to it and feel awful because I kept going, are you sure you're going to finish? Do you really think you're going to finish? Do you remember this? And I'm like, boy, I'm like the worst friend in the world. Doubting you.
No, somebody actually told me that they were waiting for me at the finish line. They didn't see me come through. They figured that I got swept and left.
Oh.
Not realizing that I had finished earlier than they expected. So.
I saw you finish, and actually when you guys finished and you and Deanna were hugging, I was standing there bawling because I was so proud of you.
I through the oxygen mask, I think I saw you bawling across the ways.
Don't go towards the light.
Is that before or after they put you on the stretcher? So
He never got on the stretcher.
I did not get on the stretcher.
And then he waited for Mike Scope at the finish. He didn't even, they kept telling him to move along, and he was like, no. And he waited.
Well, you know what? And that's, for me personally, that's one of the things that is the biggest thing I'm so grateful for, is I never would have made what has become so many lasting, incredible friendships, and you guys, for the most part, are included in those friendships that I talk about.
Always got that disclaimer in there, I swear.
I'm not necessarily pointing the finger at anybody, George, but for the most part, present company included.
It's that Skype finger again. There it goes.
I mean, that's what I said. Like, the opportunities that I had when I was talking about some of the guests to talk to people that I admire and who I enjoy so much, like a Richard Sherman are great, but it really is the friendships that I've been able to cultivate, and meeting and talking with listeners from around the world that have said things to me that don't bear repeating, but they've impacted me and they've changed me. And this show has changed me and affected me in ways that I never thought would happen. And I really am so thankful for that. And granted, some of those changes include not sleeping very much, but I love doing this. I love doing this so much. You talk about, your passion, Glenn. This is my passion. And I am just so fortunate and so blessed to be able to do this each and every week. And that, not that you guys don't listen every week, but for the most part, other people listen every week to the show. I'm so grateful, and so much good has come of it. With the what we've been doing for the Dream Team project and Make a Wish. That that's a benefit from the show that I never ever thought would happen.
Yeah, so you started talking about charities, and my first thought was, we got to eat at Club 33 at Disneyland. And then I start feeling really bad going, oh, okay, yeah, that's right, good stuff, charity work, yeah. Jeez.
Again, that's imaginerding.com, just so you know.
Lou, that brings up a question from me. Can you nail down a moment that you knew you were hooked? Like, how old were you when you realized that this was totally your passion and you would do anything to make this happen?
That he wanted to be a podcaster?
Or did you get involved in Disney in that way, in a way that eventually ended up being writing books, working on magazines, on podcasting, etc.? Was there a moment at a certain age where you knew you were a nerd?
I listen, a lot of girls told me I was a nerd very, very early on in my life, and that's a separate psychology podcast for another day about how emotionally scarred I've become.
It explains a lot, though.
It does explain a lot. It truly does explain a lot. But I've loved it since a kid, and I've been very, very, very fortunate that I've been able to go since age 3. I mean, we went in November of '71. We went back pretty much at least once a year, every year thereafter. George, like you, I was always fascinated with the books, and I was always picking up the souvenir books because I wanted to learn so much about it. And as much as I loved it, as much as I loved the place and the product and the magic and everything that was about it, and as I got older, was able to go with friends and girlfriends and not just my parents anymore, and then with my wife and my kids.
Girlfriends?
I did have a girlfriend.
Wow.
A girl. She was from Canada, but I did. She lived up by Niagara Falls. You didn't really see her a lot, but
That's about the Canadian Pavilion.
Right. But I never realized that there was an outlet for me to be able to do it. And that's why I say, I'm blessed to be able to share something like this with people. And it started off really with the books. I had the idea for a book back in around 2003 or so. I was looking for a book on Walt Disney World trivia, and I was surprised that one didn't exist. I was looking for sort of a personal challenge to do, and the idea of doing something once and being able to, sell it over and over again, or doing like a book came to mind. And I was practicing law at the time, and I certainly wasn't smart enough to write a book about the law, and I had interest in IT, and certainly couldn't write a book about, computers. And the thing that I loved most was Disney. And I asked my wife if it was a stupid idea, and fortunately she said no, supportive wife that she is. And I literally went and locked myself in my office, and I haven't come out since, and wrote a couple of thousand questions. And when podcasting came on in 2005, my first response was, "What's a podcast?" I think like a lot of people were. And I was amazed, and I mean this, I was amazed that people would listen. I'm like, who is going to listen to me talk about Walt Disney World every week? And still people who are not hardcore fans or not big Disney fans are like, wait a minute, you talk about Walt Disney World every week for an hour and a half and people listen? They're like, what are you possibly talking about? I'm like, well, usually it's food. And then everything else is just sort of secondary and tertiary after that. So, I was amazed. And that's sort of the benefit and the blessing of podcasting is that anybody can do it, and anybody can be a publisher with a blog or a podcast or a website or whatever it might be, and we all have the opportunity to share something that we love so much.
Awesome.
Good question.
Bravo. Leave that away, Glenn. That way for grounding us.
That's just I'm just blown away by Glenn's question there. My questions are like, so what's your favorite podcasting color?
What kind of a tree would you be?
Exactly. What kind of a creamed spinach tree, no doubt. With
that doesn't grow on trees now.
It does?
No.
No, it grows in nasty, dark, yucky caves by trolls. Ooh.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's still good.
But it's not on the pretty side, like,
funnel cake.
Funnel cakes, exactly.
How funnel cakes smell.
So I won't ask you, Lou, who was your favorite guest of all time, because I'd hate to embarrass all the other people with us tonight. But with
episode 85.
What'd you say, Lori? Is it time to go? Or no, you said episode 85.
Episode 85.
Yes, for the dream team. Well, what made you talked a little bit about when you first heard about podcasts and talking about what made you really, really want to do a podcast instead of just kind of really wanting to do a podcast?
The chicks. I mean, I'm just really doing it for the chicks. Yeah.
The chicks?
The chicks.
Yeah, chicks.
Yeah, the chicks.
Was that Czechoslovakians?
What? I don't know. It was like I said, it was something very new. I think when we started
He has
on
6
the
minutes to spare, right?
Yeah.
Woo!
When we started the old show, when I was doing the old show, I think there was maybe 3 or 4 Disney podcasts that were out there at the time, because it was so new, because the technology was so new, and I'd hoped and kind of saw that someday it would become much more accessible for people, that you didn't have to be a techie or have an iPod in order to get to get the show. So, and it's been a learning. Trust me, it's been a big time learning experience, and I learned something new each and every week, and try and hopefully improve the show each and every week, and hopefully that's actually happening. So, compare episode 1 to 100, big improvement, huge, gargantuan leap there.
Let's replay episode 1 and see.
For the second time during this episode.
We can do like commentary during it.
Oh, it could be like DVD, like the director's cut.
Yeah, it's the door cut of the episode. Well, did you hear that pause right there? He was thinking of something. I'm not sure what. It was something. It had to be something. Or he scratched himself right there on his earlobe. You could tell. By the way,
I'm glad you said earlobe.
Thank you.
Well, it's a family safe podcast.
Kids book, always family friendly.
Kids book. What's a kids book?
Oh, just put on your earmuffs.
Those are balloons.
All right, so I will give Lori and Tim, if you so want to. If there's something that you want to ask, now's your chance. And again, Foster, please just keep it clean.
Oh wait, I got to think of one. I haven't thought of a good question.
Oh, I was told I wasn't allowed to ask my questions.
Lori had a standard disclaimer faxed to her saying you will not ask any questions at all.
It's because Lou and I have these odd conversations sometimes.
Well, ask him why he likes M&M so much, or if
what's your favorite color M&M?
Because Pepsi and M&Ms got me through the writing of both of my books in the middle of night, and I have the physique to prove it. So.
Yeah, but I think Lou
look like that little M&M guy.
M&Ms he just got.
What?
Or did you eat them all?
No, I have not eaten them all, and I will say thank you to Lori for all of her help, as well as Glenn's and April's down at Mousefest at the Mega Meet. Lori was kind enough to bring me, always bringing me a very unique present, Lori, from my Jennifer Love Hewitt pillowcase to this year. This is going to sound much it's going to sound much creepier than it really is. You got me. Well, why don't you say it? Because I feel a little creepy saying it.
Is it Lou Mongello underwear?
It's close. It's close.
No, I have those.
Oh no!
Gosh.
No, they were M&Ms with Lou's face on them.
Melts in your... Wow, that is awesome.
There was a picture of Lou in a chef's hat, and then the other picture was him and Deanna.
Just keep it clean, guys, please. Just.
I guess there's so many things I can say, right?
Oh, Tim, did you see them?
They do exist. No!
You didn't see them? Oh, we had them at the Mega Meet.
I will send you some, Tim.
That was right. Thank you.
I will send you some.
Glenn saw them.
Keep them refrigerated so they don't melt them.
I will, and I'll pack some in dry ice and send them down to you, George.
So what does a Lou Mongello M&M taste like?
Cream spinach.
Tastes like a No Way Jose.
Hey, now we're talking.
I have a disturbing feeling it tastes like a funnel cake.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for.
I don't know. After like a couple weekends ago, it probably tastes like a blue suede shoe.
Yeah, it probably still does taste like that. Yeah, it probably does taste like that. But.
Have we started recording yet?
Yeah, when are we turning this on?
No, but I think that we are. I think that we're probably drawing to a close because I see this degrading so very quickly. And
I didn't get to ask my question.
Well,
I had a question. I thought of one.
All right, well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tim.
I haven't eaten in like 20 minutes, so come on.
You can go first, Tim. Go ahead.
My question, Lou, if this is putting you on the hot seat, you can beg off of the question. But I was wondering what sort of things you have in store for the next 100 episodes.
Ooh. How many top 10s with Tim Foster are there going to be?
99.
Except for the ones where Samantha's on. So
I would love to actually get Samantha Brown and Tim Foster on the same show. And totally surprised Tim with her being on.
He would be tongue-tied. He would just have to leave.
He would. I was tongue-tied talking to Samantha Brown. I will tell you that in 2009, I do have some new things planned. I have a few surprises planned, a couple of things to kind of enhance already what I'm doing. A little more to offer you in the next couple of weeks. I'd rather not tip my hand at this point, but I've been working on a couple of things that I'm going to introduce in early 2009 that I think or hope that you guys really, really enjoy, because again, I've just been getting way too much sleep, so I needed to find a couple more things to put on my plate. But I will tell you, Tim, that I am really, really, really excited about one thing particularly that I'm going to start doing in 2009. And
I'm not 2008 trivia calendar.
It is a 2008 trivia calendar.
Oh, that's a good-looking calendar too.
Nice.
And listen, give credit where it's due, man. If you have the Walt Disney World Trivia Page a Day calendar and you like how it looks, you can thank Tim Foster. Cover art, each page, the little flip animation in the corner, all Tim Foster.
If you don't like how it looks, that's why Lou's banned from the Adobe Photoshop.
And if there's any facts in there that are incorrect, and I'm sure they will because I am human, blame George Taylor.
Yeah, we'll then blame Glenn Whelan from Passamaquoddy. So
those aren't typos; those are copyright traps.
That's right.
Wow, I'm glad I had nothing to do with that thing.
Have you looked at the whole calendar, Lori? Have you ripped out all the pages yet and looked at them all?
The only page that stays on mine is January 10th because it's my birthday. That's the only day that matters.
What does it say on that day? Does it say this is the day? What day was Lori born on? This day.
Co-host for the day, born today. So
that was it.
All right, Lori, it's your chance, and I'm quaking in my boots over here. But go ahead.
Oh, come on. Okay, I have a question and then kind of a challenge for you.
Uh-oh.
Hold on a second. Back that bus up right over here. There you go. Go ahead.
Beep, 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 beep.
Oh, and a side note, I have now seen Blazing Saddles 4 times.
That is why you rock and our co-host for the day.
My question is, what is your all-time favorite Disney moment? That doesn't even have to do with the podcast, just in general Disney moment.
Has to be at Disneyland, Lou, with me.
No.
There was that moment with George where our eyes met on the storybook canal boats.
And I was like, duck, Lou, I can't see over your head to take this laugh. Move out of my way. Well,
He is ducking.
Yeah, he was. Oh, Lord,
Hey, look at Foster coming through with a short joke. Wow, my all-time favorite Disney moment.
Well, maybe we should all talk while you think.
You know, when you said that, I'll think out loud. It's what I do anyway each week. When you said that, one of the first things, a bunch of things ran through my mind very quickly. One of which was, I have this moment in my mind of sitting on Main Street with my daughter in her stroller, face full of ice cream as the parade is coming down, and she leans forward and she looks out and her eyes get all wide and she just starts, giggling and laughing, and she can't believe that these characters are coming down and they're waving towards her, and she's very young and she doesn't really understand to be exactly who they are, but there was a moment, and I looked at my wife, and she got it and I got it, and I'm like, this is it. It's so different when you bring your child to a place that you enjoy so much for the first time and see their reaction to it. You see it through their eyes, and that is something I will never forget. I'll leave out my failed engagement in front of the pink castle cake. That again, still scarred.
Let's talk about Olga.
What?
Wow,
we'll talk offline.
Yeah, we'll talk way off.
I need to hear that.
But all-time favorite, God, I don't know. I mean, that's definitely one that sticks in my mind.
What about the first time you had a funnel cake at Disney, or the first time you had, a burger at Pecos Bills, or?
I will tell you. I will tell you that there are new moments that are created all the time. I mean, George, honestly, I say this not jokingly. I remember when you and I first met in front of the UK Pavilion 2 Mouse Fests ago. Glenn, I remember meeting you, for the first time. You emailed me and said, hey, you want to just get together for dinner? And I told my wife, I'm like, look, if I don't come home tonight, it's because I'm meeting this strange listener at Wolfgang Puck's for dinner. But Lori and what's his name over there? Foster. I remember the first time that, Tim, and I tell the story all the time, I remember the first time I met you at Mousefest. You were walking around with your prototype of your Guide to the Magic for Kids book, now available at guidetothemagic.com. You walked over to my table that I was sharing with my publisher.
Now I gotta give you $1.
Ding. Are we supposed to ding or something?
No, please, no ding.
Oh.
Wrong show. Anyway, you walked over, and I remember, and I mean this sincerely, I pulled my publisher to the side, and I said, if you don't sign him up, you're crazy. Clearly, my publisher is crazy, but that's beside the point.
The publisher's like,
but you know what? I still believe it is the most beautiful Disney book out there, bar none. And I'm not saying it because you're here and I have to.
Yes, you do.
But you do.
By the way, I have changes to the logo coming, just so you know.
You see how this works?
Yeah, but Lori, you noticed that it was a great question, and his favorite moment still had food in it.
Yeah, that is true.
Now
Whose face had ice cream in it?
That was my question. I was like, he said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was like, wait a minute. Face full of ice cream. He didn't say if it was his daughter or him.
It was my daughter.
And
he's still not talking. Do you notice?
He's still not saying it.
And he left out that the first time him and I met, after we had dinner at 50's Prime Time, people thought him and I were married.
I tried to leave that out.
I don't know if it's because we were both short or why, but All
right, see, now you have to explain, because people, when we first met, the first time we met, you took me out to dinner with your husband there as well, at 50's Prime Time, he went off to go somewhere, and we went to get hot chocolate, and the woman behind the counter said something like,
I had on a 10th anniversary. My husband and I were celebrating our 10th anniversary, and I had on a celebrating our 10th anniversary button with a photo of me and my husband.
Who looks just like me, by the way. He's like 6'9", has a beard,
Yeah, he's really tall, and I think we were arguing over who was going to pay for the hot chocolate. And she's like, "What's your anniversary? You need to let him pay for it." And I'm like, "Oh, well, this isn't my husband." And then suddenly Aaron came up behind you.
What?
He's like, what? Because he's such a tall guy, it's got to be, what? You felt the thundering footsteps.
Glenn and I actually get that a lot, too, when we're arguing over who's going to pay for the checks. We need to clarify
Your
that.
husband should pay for this.
Yeah, we won't talk about you guys' dates.
It's research. It is all in the name of research. That's the real benefit to the show, is being able to go down. And listen, I say all the time, I said, my mother didn't raise any fool. When I decided to write a book about somewhere, I think, Glenn, you said, I didn't decide to write about, sanitation removal. I decided to write about Disney. So when I have to go down and research, I'm lucky enough to be able to go down to Walt Disney World. So
darn
cool. Okay, you ready for your challenge?
All right, go ahead. Give me my. I was hoping to just kind of wrap it up without the challenge, but go ahead.
No. I don't even know if you want to call it a challenge, but I am asking you to do the Tower of Terror race with me in October 2009.
Done.
Oh, right, baby.
Not even thinking about it.
That was easy.
Not even thinking about it. I'll do it.
But Lori, he already hit the edit button. So
yeah, I know.
I think we stopped.
I stopped recording like 2 hours ago.
It'll get cut. It'll get edited out of there, I'm sure.
Wait, you have witnesses though.
No,
Yeah,
it'll be Lori. Here's your challenge. Lou, do you like M&Ms? Yes.
I'll just call his wife. I'll get her on it too.
I will definitely do it. I will definitely do the Tower of Terror challenge with you. So.
All right. It'll be fun.
Wow, I better start running now, Lou.
I'm waiting to hear one of the other guys being like, "Yeah, I'll do it with you too." Come on.
Yeah, come on, Glenn.
What
You know what?
is it? Is it 13K? What is it? 13K?
Is
It's
it?
like it's a 13K.
That's like 100 yards.
Can I
You
use
did
my
the
Segway?
Everest. No, you did the Everest challenge.
Segway? You can use a Segway on it?
No, but you can actually eat on the course, which is nice. They have little
No, you
buffets set up.
You should start carb loading now.
I think Glenn should do it. I mean, there's no hurdles to climb over. Hurdle nets. You just run.
Now, nobody asked Tim to run.
Tim can run. Tim, you want to run?
Sure.
He'll be.
Come on, George.
I'm sorry, my mic just cut there. Sorry. About that.
I have a torn meniscus and a torn ACL, so.
Oh, boo-boo.
I know that's what I do when I walk, so.
Tim will do it if there's cream spinach at the finish line.
I'll do it.
Wow.
WDW radio team.
Lori and her 3 men, 3 musketeers. No.
Only if I get a cool T-shirt.
You will get it too. Well, you're going to get a cool T-shirt because you're going to be doing the logo for it. So you can have whatever you want.
Ooh, make them really cool.
Yeah, make them look like they've got cream spinach smeared all over them. Can you do that for a logo?
We can make them.
Oh, that's what Lou's logos look like.
Well, that's
I'm kidding, my friend. I'm kidding.
Wow. So you're saying Lou doesn't have any mad graphic skills?
Wow.
Let me just say, I will.
I taught him everything he knows.
What
I heard that so many times at MouseFest.
You also heard that Celebrations magazine looks as beautiful as it does for no other reason than Tim Foster. That is all him. And big kudos to you, Tim. I am honored to be associated with you in the magazine.
You're here.
See, now don't you feel bad? Don't you feel like a tool being so mean to me?
Did you call me a tool?
I did. I called you a tool.
Don't you feel like a craftsman? We're not allowed to say brand names. I'm sorry.
Any other challenges before we go?
I challenge you to get me into Club 33
again,
sometime in 2009.
Again?
No, Walt's apartment this time.
Might be able to make that happen. We have to do another Disneyland trip. You're all invited.
I want to go.
You're all invited.
I want to go.
I've never been to Disneyland.
Well, Glenn, you're quiet. You don't want to go?
I heard last recording of last Disneyland trip. I'm just a little worried.
He doesn't want to step in poo.
I just have two words. I have 2 words for you. Separate rooms. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, because a lot of people snore. That's all I'm gonna say.
Don't look
Well,
at
I'm
me.
glad I'm the only girl if we go. I get my own room.
And if you take Eric Hollister, I mean, the guy's so big he scouts out the best way to go in the crowds. It's awesome. But he can't sit in any of the ride vehicles. It's horrible. I mean,
He is like a human Brazilian tour flag, that guy, because you can see him from anywhere in the park.
Where are you? We're standing next to Eric Hollister. Oh, okay, yeah, I see him. So he towers over the Matterhorn.
It blocks out the sun, that guy.
That's why Lou didn't wear any sunscreen that day.
Oh, God.
Too bad he's not here to.
The Yeti got out. The Yeti got out.
Oh, poor Eric. Big Fig Eric.
Big Fig Eric.
Okay, well, I guess the final question is, what are you going to do the 100 episodes after the next 100?
Oh.
Ooh, yeah.
It'll be interesting to see.
Do you have any 4 people that will not be invited back?
Who's going to do the 200th wrap-up show with?
Here's this week's trivia question. Which of the 5 people on this conference call will not be back in 2009?
Ooh, which of the 5? Let's see, Lori has to pay to get back on. There's got to be a good book coming out from me. Tim's got to represent the magazine, so Tim will be back. Glenn likes to eat, so Glenn will be back. Huh.
I guess it leaves Lou.
Yeah, Lou, you won't be back.
You know, George,
Sorry, Lou.
there's an old adage, an old poker adage, that if you're sitting at the table and you can't find the sucker, then you're it. So I'm just saying. So
Just say on what? I don't understand.
Anyway, thank you guys again so much. Like I said, so much fun this show is for me to do each and every week, and I'm so thankful. I feel so blessed to be able to share it with you. I never thought I would hit 100 shows when I was coding my first XML feed and trying to figure out that, mess almost 2 years ago, and it's now become such an important part of my life. And again, the friendships that I've made with you guys and with so many other people mean so much to me. And I have to say, even though she probably won't listen, big monstrous thanks to my wife and my kids for the sacrifices they make every day so that I can do this, and the support of like my parents and my brother and so many other people.
Wow, the sacrifice your kids have to make, like trips to Disney?
No, like, hey kids, can you keep it quiet upstairs? Daddy's trying to record.
Well, I was going to mention to you, Lou, that you are going to get a bill for my 10-year-old. I'm paying him $5 to keep the 5-year-old quiet upstairs. I told him, Bill Lou Mongello at the WDW radio show.
Wouldn't they like a calendar for the new year?
Lou, on behalf of all your...
I was going to say something very meaningful. Quiet. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, on behalf of everybody who's listening, new listeners and old, we have to thank you for giving us a little bit of that magic every week.
A lot of magic
the mostest, amazingest magic every week.
I'm going to cry.
Is that Glenn?
Well, Thanks again, all you guys, especially you, Glenn. No, there is always
next week.
There is always a place for you guys here on the show with me, and Glenn from Passamaquoddy.blog.com, Lori from WeWatchTheRedhead.blogspot.com, Tim Foster from GuideToTheMagic.com, and George Taylor from Imaginerding.com. I really, really do appreciate you guys taking the time, reminiscing with me, looking back and looking forward a little bit. Again, thank you for listening each and every week. It really does mean a lot to me, and for all the help in getting to 100 episodes.
It's fantastic, Lou. Glad to be a part of it.
I'm pleased to welcome you to the very first episode of the WDW radio show. Do a little Disney scene investigation of Pecos Bills.
You read that introduction just the way I wanted you to read it when I wrote it. I said, if I write it this way, will he read it the right way? And you did a great job.
So I guess the lack of sleep had finally gotten to me, and I threw it out there on the air that I was going to train and run for the half marathon. So I am recording live from the Disney MGM studios and sitting here with a true Disney legend, and let me just say that it does not get any better than this. I am talking about none other than Disney legend Charles Ridgway. Charlie, welcome, and thank you for appearing on the WDW radio show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure to see you again, and I look forward to a lot of times in the future we could have some good times together.
As promised, I am finally getting to the second of our 7 wonders of Walt Disney World. And I apologize for the delay in getting to the second, but we are finally there. And I wanted to enlist the help of friend and voice guy Jonathan Dichter to go through this segment with me. Jonathan, welcome again.
No, I'm happy to be here. I love audio animatronics, and did I just spoil that?
Well, as you can tell, the second of our 7 wonders. So let me just cross out all the stuff that I had to kind of lead into what this was going to be. And this week, I welcome in a very special guest, Michael Broggie, son of Roger Broggie, the very first Disney Imagineer. He's going to come on and recount some amazing stories of growing up around Walt Disney, as well as working with Walt and his father, Roger. Additionally, he's also going to share some of Walt's secrets to success, tales of Roy Disney, as well as Walt's interaction with his Imagineers.
He was just another one of the railroaders out playing trains. And that's what I always, looking back on it, realized that my brother and I were the short kids and Walt was a tall kid. And we were playing trains. He was very curious about what you thought. And when he talked to you, it wasn't like an adult talking down to a child. He would kind of talk to you at what I call eye level. He would not mince words. In fact, he was known to have quite a salty vocabulary. And Walt would get behind the bar. He would build drinks for the adults, and then my brother and I were sitting up in these tall stools there, and he would get back there and he would make these one-of-a-kind Walt Disney sundaes.
Horizons really was representative of all the themes at Epcot and Future World specifically. In fact, there was this one attraction really encompassed all the themes of Future World. For example, the central theme, the really pervasive theme that was not only related to Horizons, but in everything that Disney does, from its theme parks to all forms of entertainment, was the family. And we talked before about this being a sequel to the Carousel of Progress. Well, this was this next generation family from the Carousel of Progress that we were going to meet and get to know them. And because it really was less about the technology, but more about the purpose of it and how this technology was going to help us and help our families. And if I say Walt Disney World, what's the first image that comes to mind? If you're like me, it probably involves some sort of food item, but if you're like most other normal people, you may see an image of our next wonder, and that's Cinderella Castle. As if you didn't think I was enough of a geek, between my Disney obsession, my incessant ramblings about relative obscurities in and around Walt Disney World theme parks, and so on, well, the fun's not over yet, because I'm a Star Wars fan as well, and I'm not the only one. In fact, I've brought along 2 other Disney/Star Wars dorks to come on and talk about an event that turns the Disney MGM studios into a mecca for guys and girls like us from all over the world, Star Wars Weekend.
Well, first of all, I should mention the reason I'm talking about it on this show, Lou, is because I attempted to do a show about it. I was ridiculed with snoring sounds and, sound effects in the background, the wrong sound effects from Star Trek that people, come on, Jonathan. I mean, there's nothing worse than confusing Star Wars with Star Trek, right?
An exclusive interview with the legendary Don Dorsey. You may or may not know him by name, but I guarantee you know his work, as he created arrangements for the Main Street Electrical Parade, scored laserphonic fantasy and illuminations, directed Sorcery in the Sky and Epcot's World Showcase, and in 1999 directed the new Illuminations Reflections of Earth. For this week's Disney Scene Investigation, Dinoland USA in Disney's Animal Kingdom is what many people consider to be really the ugly stepchild of Disney's Animal Kingdom. For a park that's so rich in beauty, in story, and theming, this land is often considered to be an afterthought, really devoid of the true magic that Imagineering puts into everything they do. It's been called everything from a carnival midway, and not very much in a complimentary manner, to so many other things. Well, this week, Jeff Pepper and I are going to try and help change your opinion. All right, tell the monorail stories.
Yes, folks. When you're with Lou at the Magic Kingdom, and he says, "Hey, hurry up, we can make that monorail train." Say, "No, Lou. We'll catch the next one."
Well, if you're Lou, hurry, we can make it means I assume that you're right behind me.
Okay, let's...
I hear the doors close, I turn around and start talking to you, and there you are on the platform, waving to me. You know, like I'm leaving, leaving on a bus to go overseas, and I'm like, what?
Pick up, pointing, doing the, the cell phone, with my hand.
Right.
Call me.
My hand up to the window, like... Jeff.
Yeah, we were saying there, before we went on the air with this, if we could put our hands up on the glass. Geek! I
felt like it was a scene from Midnight Express or something.
Yeah. and again, all looks, the cast member, that was the monorail station person there, just like, what are these two idiots doing?
Look, you like my kids. You slow me down, I'm going to leave you in the dust. Sorry. I left you stranded at the monorail station, but no piece all about the American adventure would really be complete without talking to somebody that knows it probably better than 99.9% of us out there, and that's Lonnie, and he has been a cast member at the American Adventure for coming on 5 years now.
I enjoy sharing information when guests arrive because it is more than just a pavilion. There's all kinds of things here to notice and observe, and I think it enhances any guest experience when they come, if they take the time to look.
It's really been about the people that I've met and the community that I've able to become a part of. And it's a community that, for me, has really grown into a family of sorts. And part of that community and that family has been the ability to meet so many incredible people and make so many wonderful friends. And one of the things that I really consider myself fortunate to be a part of is something that's happened for the 4th time this past weekend, and that's the Magic Meets Fan Gathering.
Or the amazing job that was done with the Dream Team auction, and $9,000 raised. We blew away last year's figures. Blew away. I couldn't believe it. And it's just a lot of great things happen. A lot of good smiles and happy people.
Throughout Walt Disney World, there's a number of attractions that really don't start once you sit in your seat or get on a ride vehicle or the lights dim in a show. Many actually start as you approach the building, like Muppets or Everest, and actually specifically like Everest, they actually begin telling their stories and setting the stage for what's to come. This week, Jeff and I are going to feature one such attraction. It's a Disney classic. It appeals to adults and kids of all ages. I'm talking, of course, about the Jungle Cruise. I'm not the only guy who walks around Walt Disney World not riding attractions, but instead staring at the pavement or the windows or the walls or other obscurities all around the park. But we're the exception rather than the norm. But there's one other guy, a strapping young man who can often be seen with his fedora hat on, camera in hand, and pages of notes and emails from all of his adoring fans, and a man who has fueled the addiction of Disney fans worldwide for years with his books and his website. And of course, I'm talking about Steve Barrett, author of The Hidden Mickeys, a field guide to Walt Disney World's best-kept secrets.
Thanks for having me, Lou. I'm not exactly a strapping man, but, I like that adjective for sure.
Hello there, WDW radio show listeners. It is Eric Hollister, and it is time to update everybody on challenge number 2. Lou's actually out running about 3 or 4 miles, prepping for his own half marathon in January, and we know that many of you will be joining him. So he's asked me to go ahead and come on and announce the winner.
I've always said that Walt Disney World is really a giant 3D movie with us as guests right in the middle of it. And in many cases, it's really not just as somebody who experiences what's going on around them, but we become part of it. And an integral part of telling the stories that we become so immersed in is through our next wonder. And that is the music of Walt Disney World.
It's what you bring home from the parks, even more than a photo or maybe a souvenir book. As soon as you hear that music, whether it be Haunted Mansion or Pirates, you're back in the Doom Buggy, or you could see that attraction right in front of you. And that's the power of music, if I could say that.
Into the attraction, and you still get that same visceral experience. It's almost overwhelming you how much you get in just audio. And it picks up the cues from the film beautifully, and it just completely surrounds you as you go through it. And then you go almost as if you're following the narrative of the film, and the music carries it. It's just exquisite. Then Peter Pan, as far as music is concerned, is at the top of my list.
When you were talking, it almost feels like we're leading right up to the penultimate kind of piece of music that really kind of brings down the house, and that's Reflections of Earth.
Yeah.
Today is one of those rare, very special opportunities where I'm fortunate enough to meet and speak with somebody whose work I've enjoyed and admired for so many years at Walt Disney World. His work is legendary and includes helping to create attractions in Walt Disney World, such as Space Mountain, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, the Woodway People Mover, Spaceship Earth, World of Motion, Kilimanjaro Safaris, the Mark IV and 6 monorails, and countless others. And he's primarily responsible for Imagineering my personal favorite, Horizons. His work has extended beyond the theme parks into Disney feature films, and it continues to be enjoyed by millions of people worldwide. So it's my distinct honor and pleasure and privilege to introduce a man who really needs no introduction. He's former Walt Disney Imagineer, Mr. George McGinnis.
So in 71, Roger Broggie told me to go over to John Hench's office, and I did, and John put me on Space Mountain, told me to have a pre-show and a post-show along a belt going in and a moving belt going out, and have the load area at the back. And so I laid that out, and Bill Watkins did the track around my show concept.
Beginning as a show designer at Walt Disney Imagineering, my next guest conceived and designed some of Disney's most memorable characters, attractions, pavilions, and even complete theme parks. And for more than a decade, he served as the creative leader of Tokyo Disney Sea in his role as Senior Vice President. So I am pleased to welcome former Walt Disney Imagineer Steve Kirk to the WDW radio show. We're going to look at a somewhat similar character/sidekick connection, because like the Dreamfinder and Figment, for the most part, they can no longer really be found in the parks, yet they have a similar sense of this nostalgic relevance to so many of us that have childhood memories of them. And I'm talking about the little orange bird, who was the figment to Anita Bryant's Dreamfinder. Now, Jeff, in that one sentence, I mentioned names that most of the younger listeners may not recognize at all, especially maybe Anita Bryant. But for some of us old-timers, I guess we remember her as well as the orange bird pretty well. Recently, we profiled the original Journey into Imagination pavilion and attraction as part of our Epcot retrospective series. I followed that up with an interview with former Imagineer Steve Kirk, who was not only instrumental in creating the attraction, but along with Tony Baxter, was primarily responsible for creating two of Disney's most beloved characters, the Dreamfinder and Figment. And needless to say, the response from listeners was wonderful, as many of you not only had strong memories of the attraction, but more specifically, the characters themselves. And a lot of you wrote in and actually sent photos of yourselves or your children with the Dreamfinder, who was really one of the most unique of all the walk-around characters ever to stroll through any of the Disney theme parks. Well, as fate would have it, guess who else was listening and felt compelled to write? That's right, it was the Dreamfinder himself. And no, the lack of sleep hasn't made me lose it just yet, but I'm actually talking about Ron Schneider, who was Walt Disney World's original stroll-around Dreamfinder and Figment character, as well as the voice of Dreamfinder for parts of the Journey into Imagination attraction.
Thanks, Lou. It's great to be here. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be funny if that was Tony Baxter and Marty Sklar and that's who it was. They had been calling up, I don't know for what. But the next day I was back at WED auditioning for Exitensio to do the Dreamfinder. Dreamfinder needed Figment and loved and appreciated Figment, that whole side of creativity. This immediately gave me the relationship.
Here's Disney's newest authority on imagination from the Imagination Pavilion here at Epcot. He is Dreamfinder.
Hello there, Brian. Good to have you here at Epcot.
I'm pleased to be joined once again by Jim McPhee, Vice President of Epcot, as we celebrate and enjoy Epcot's 25th anniversary today.
Well, I couldn't think of a better day than today to be here. Thank you, Lou. It's a special day for us here as well, because we know so many of you that are here, whether you're with specific fan groups or just here for your first time, are such huge supporters. And frankly, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing today without that support.
In my Legends of Disney interview series, I'm pleased to welcome Bill Sully Sullivan to the show, as he and I sit down to talk about his fairy tale beginnings with the Disney Company, to his rise in the organization and various roles in Walt Disney World. He reminisces about working for and with Walt Disney and shares some memorable stories about his amazing experiences through his 38-year career.
Well, we always knew when Walt was around, and gained a lot of knowledge just through osmosis and from what we heard and what we saw. And it was interesting to watch him because he didn't want people to do special things for him. He would just wanted to walk the park, and if he was dressed up in his blue suit and his Smoke Tree Ranch tie, he was just out visiting the guests.
I had a chance to interview Captain Tom Forberg, captain of the Disney Magic, to find out what it's like to command the flagship of the Disney Cruise Line fleet. The group that I put together was also given a private tour of the bridge with the captain, where I recorded some of the questions and answers about this fascinating ship. When we talk about some of the notable names in Disney Imagineering, so many come to mind, and each possesses a wide variety of talents and contributions to the parks and resorts. And today, a new generation of Imagineers continues in this storied tradition and carries on that legacy that wasn't started by a mouse, but by Walt Disney himself. And my next guest is just one of those Imagineers. From a college program Jungle Cruise skipper to working on updating revered attractions like Pirates of the Caribbean and, more recently, the Haunted Mansion in Walt Disney World, he worked his way up through Imagineering to be one of its true creative forces. But beyond his work in the parks, he's a celebrated author, having written a definitive resource materials for each of those attractions, not to mention Madame Leota's epitaph, as well as other books on Imagineering itself. So he is, of course, Jason Sorrell, and his latest book is all about Imagineering at its peak, as he covers the Disney mountains around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we don't build roller coasters. Anyone can throw up a rickety wooden roller coaster or, a steel coaster. We don't do that at Walt Disney Imagineering. We tell stories, and that's something that Walt started with the Matterhorn bobsleds. He did not want to build a typical amusement park roller coaster. He wanted to recreate the experience of bobsledding down, to quote the spiel, the icy slopes of the majestic Matterhorn. So from the very beginning, he was telling stories in these quote-unquote thrill rides, a fully fleshed out 3-act story of Brer Rabbit.
This year's Mouse Fest was my 4th consecutive, and it once again brought together great friends and new acquaintances. I thought that we would recap what was an amazing few days in Walt Disney World, but rather than just have me kind of tell you about my opinions and experiences, I wanted to instead have a roundtable type discussion with other attendees as well as friends of the show.
Now, this is when you guys were, I think, ceremoniously waiting on Pirates or getting off of Pirates. That was about the time that my cell phone got knocked into the monorail track at the Ticket and Transportation Center. and then, basically, if anybody's listening, and the monorail got shut down for a brief period of time, right around 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock, that was all me.
Please stand clear of my phone.
Somebody broke my heart on a monorail back in May, but we won't talk.
Joining me this week in an exclusive interview is Samantha Brown, host of a number of popular series on the Travel Channel, including a number of specials about Walt Disney World. With what can only be described as the greatest job in the world, it is my pleasure to welcome Samantha Brown from the Travel Channel to the WDW radio show.
It's quite an intro. Thank you. When I met him, I'm like, oh my gosh, you are a rock star. I mean, the people that are like, you got to ride with Joe Rohde, and he is this, when we do those segments, people should know we can't do them when the park is open. So we've arrived at 5:30, 6 a.m. So you're basically like just waking up, and what a great way to start the day, right? Expedition Everest with Joe Rohde, and he has this personality that, my gosh, he could just, what that man knows and what he experiences and how he puts those experiences to paper and then to model and then to the actual attraction so that people actually experience what goes on in his mind is wonderful.
So I also like to present these topics in some fun and different ways, often with the help of special guests. And this week, I want to once again welcome back Tim Foster, author of the Guide to the Magic books, including the all-new Guide to the Magic for Kids, for yet another Top 10 with Tim segment. All right, so I'm kind of made that up on the fly. Not sure if it's going to stick or not. But Tim, welcome back, buddy.
Hey, always a pleasure to be here, Lou. Thanks.
Top 10 with Tim. I kind of like that. It's got a nice...
I really like it.
Well, of course.
Got one vote for me. Got it. One vote for me. I love it.
I'm thrilled to welcome back to the show one of my all-time favorite guests, Samantha Brown from the Travel Channel. Now, you mentioned things like Tower of Terror, and then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have Turtle Talk with Crush, and somewhere in the middle, you've got the Teacups. So are you more of a thrill ride fan, or is Winnie the Pooh sort of more your speed?
Well, that's a good question. I like them both. I love roller coasters. I love being scared, and but I also love soaring over California, which is more of an emotional thrill than just a, scared out of the seat of your pants thrill. And so that's what I like about Disney so much, is they run the spectrum in terms of really making you feel alive and thrilled and exhilarated in many different levels. I don't get to see the shows. That's a very good point. We've very rarely showed live shows, and what we don't see on camera, we don't do, because again, I'm not there. I'm not like on my downtime getting into line and seeing something. Unfortunately, we have to keep to the schedule and go. So I actually do miss out on a few things that I'd like to do while I'm there. But so I don't. I've never seen a show.
Well, I will extend the invitation next time you're down to take you to go see Finding Nemo the musical, because you're missing something spectacular.
Is that the one to see?
That is the one to see. If I ask you to think about modern-day Disney Imagineering, one of the first names and faces, and likely earrings, that comes to mind is that of Joe Rohde. He is one of the principal creative forces behind not only Disney's Animal Kingdom, but lately Expedition Everest. He's currently the executive designer and vice president of creative at Walt Disney Imagineering, and I had a chance to speak with him for just a few minutes during the Disney's Animal Kingdom 10th anniversary event. What were some of the challenges that you faced as you were designing and creating the theme park?
Well, the fundamental challenge is the contrast between the illusion of the park, of this place of beauty and nature, and then the fact that, of course, it's this very, very complicated design machine that has to handle all these people and all these animals and all these things going on, and we don't want you, the guest, to have to think about any of that. So it is maintaining this illusion, maintaining the quality of this theatrical illusion is the everyday challenge of both design and operation of Disney's Animal Kingdom.
Ladies and gentlemen, the real Chief Magic Official is Justin!
I'm still kind of grasping at what all it entails and what all it means, and it's just been absolutely an incredible thing to be able to share with my family and my friends and Disney fans all over the world. So thank you again for having me on your show.
I'm here with Kevin Rafferty. He is a senior concept writer and director from Walt Disney Imagineering. Kevin, welcome to the show and congratulations.
Hi, Lou. Thank you very much. We're very happy, very excited that this is open, and boy, it's just causing a lot of excitement.
Exactly, and it's an exciting day, not just because it's a new attraction, but it's one that really brings a whole new level of guest interactivity to the parks.
It really does. It raises the bar for an interactive ride game experience for the entire family. And what we did was we mixed the cast of characters from Toy Story with the traditional Midway games that you would see on any typical Midway, and we put them together to create the first ride-through Midway game experience. And every time a guest returns to experience the attraction, it's going to be a different experience for them.
Speaking of Star Tours, Star Wars Weekends begins on June 6th and runs through the month, so I wanted to discuss the events, the different elements that make up each weekend, and how to get the most out of all of them, whether you're a Star Wars superfan or not. So I brought in George Darth Sidious Taylor and Glenn Grand Moff Tarkin Whalen to pull up a chair in the cantina and join me in a roundtable discussion about the weekend's events. And the beauty of this, too, is that it's fun for kids, and it's fun for adults, and it's fun for guys like us and people of our generation who, even if you go without your kids, you know you're still going to have a good time.
That's right.
and based on this conversation, you see, we don't even need to have kids to have fun and just start spouting out lines from the movie, so...
You don't need to see his fast pass.
These aren't the dorks we're looking for.
Well, you know, I think this will be a day long remembered. It's seen the end of Mangello, and we'll soon see the end of this podcast. So
Move along. Move along. May the Force be with you.
I was going to say that. Dang.
And also with you.
And also with you, yes. Thanks, Lou.
It was called Walt Disney World Inside Out, and it ran in the mid-'90s for a few years, and one of its hosts was J.D. Roth. Well, today, J.D. is going to join me on the show to talk about working on Inside Out.
It was a great job, though, man. I mean, how much fun is it? Once a month, you get a phone call. It's like, okay, you're going to come out for this week. What resort do you want to stay at? What, reservations do you want for food? I mean, it was the greatest gig ever.
And you want to talk about a show that looks like you just had a blast doing. It really seemed to come through every week.
Oh, I mean, come on. You get to hang out at Disney World and with George Foreman. He covered the food. I covered the rides. What better thing could you possibly ask for? I mean, that's not really like a job. Thanks. Hey, it's always nice talking to someone who actually, knows what they're doing and does their homework, and appreciates, all the hard work that I've definitely tried to put in over the years. So I appreciate you saying that. And you know what? Just because of this conversation, I'm going to call the people that did Inside Out years ago, and I'm going to see if it's worth bringing that thing back.
I'm also not sure it's sunk in yet. It's just been absolutely an incredible thing to be able to share with my family and my friends and Disney fans all over the world. I've been a Disney fan my entire life. I was floored. I couldn't believe that this was really actually happening. I know that when I go out in this position, the really neat thing about this job is it's not about me. It's about all of the dreams that I'll get the chance to see come true. And the really cool thing there is we can take other people's dreams, with us, and we can hopefully inspire the people that we know and the people we interact with to keep those dreams going.
Not long after I wrote my first book in 2004, I realized very quickly that giving back to the community and helping others was going to be an important part of what I did. So I started off by knowing that I was going to take a portion of the proceeds from the sale of my book and trying to somehow give back. And after my father got sick and I spent a lot of time up at Memorial Sloan Kettering and saw kids that really needed a bit of that magic, I started the DisneyWorldTrivia.com Dream Team project, where we wanted to work to try and help send some of those kids to a place that we all love and enjoy so much. Before I go into talking about the auction items themselves, I wanted to say thank you to Tracy and Meg and April and Lori and Pat and Janet and everybody else that's going to be at Magic Meets, because none of this would happen without you. And of course, Pat, who has been the auction coordinator and for the past 3 years has really worked tirelessly on making this happen and spearheading this. So first, I want to say thank you to you and everybody else for what you guys have done.
Thank you, Lou. That's very nice. Obviously, this is not a video podcast because tirelessly would not fit. We've been rapping now for 2 days. We started about 9 a.m. this morning. It's now 10 o'clock at night, and we are definitely not tireless.
Well, considering this is like the this is about the fourth or fifth time we're actually trying to do this after the falling episodes and Cabana Boy references and whatnot.
And I can't thank my volunteers enough for all the hard work. I can't thank all the people who've donated items, who have made sponsorships for us, and who are going to come and bid on the meets. We thank you all so much.
Yeah, this was not about this weekend. This has been going on for the past 12 months. So thank you to everybody, and see you guys at Magic Meets.
And a congaloosh to us all.
Cabana boy. Cabana boy. In the true spirit of adventure, we have created the Adventureland Challenge Contest. The ultimate adventurer is going to win the DisneyWorldTrivia.com gift pack. And an iPod Nano, a digital camera.
But, of course, those are all great things, Lou, but we need to give them a place to really use those items, don't you think? So, the ultimate adventure and up to 3 guests will also receive, and obviously this is the grand prize, 5 nights and 6 days at the Walt Disney World Resort at a select Disney Deluxe Resort. Plus, they'll be getting a Magic Your Way Park Hopper Pass for 6 days for each person in the party. Plus, private round-trip airport transfers from Orlando International Airport to get them to and from. In the spirit of Disney and my personal belief in plussing things up every chance we get, we have some special little extras as well. And because you and I, Lou, we both know that food is an absolute must and one of the most important parts of a Disney vacation, we're also adding the Disney dining plan to the package. Nice. And what would a VIP vacation be without VIP treatment? So we plan to upgrade the winner to enjoy concierge club level access at their deluxe resort as well. Plus, we're going to toss in an American Express gift card valued at $1,000 to spend any way they like towards transportation to Orlando, souvenirs, and so forth. We want to make sure that this is a perfect experience for the winner. So members of my team and I will have a personal pre-arrival planning session with the winner to tailor the trip to the guest dreams. We're planning to include some surprise pixie dust moments that I really don't want to give away just yet, but I can say that I'm going to offer Lou Mangello up as a personal cabana boy at some point.
If you think that the 6 days, 5 nights at a deluxe resort with concierge, $1,000, the dining plan, the tickets, the round trip, all the other stuff is big, what you don't know is really what's going to make this an incredible experience. That and the DisneyWorldTrivia.com gift pack, of course. So this week, Tim is going to do his best not to stink up the joint as we count down our list of not the sights or the sounds, but the smells of Walt Disney World. So, of course, I want to welcome back Mr. Top 10 himself, Tim Foster from GuideToTheMagic.com.
Your introductions are getting better and better.
I spend weeks on these things. I'm going to move to the third on my list, and this is one that kind of gets one of the asterisks, because you gotta work with me here, people, and follow along with me. Some of the attractions, some of the water-based attractions in Walt Disney World, specifically the ones that come to mind, are Pirates of the Caribbean, It's a Small World. They have a smell to them. They've got, the only way I could describe it is the musty water smell of the indoor water-based attractions. Don't laugh. Come on, tell me you know what I'm talking about and that I'm not completely insane and that I just need to spend more time riding rides. Please just agree with me for my sake.
Lou, that's a wonderful, wonderful.
Jeez.
This is why Samantha Brown is coming back and you're not, okay? Fast forward 5 years, and now plant yourself in the middle of Pennsylvania in a room with more than 550 like-minded fans of all things Disney, many of whom didn't just spend the day, but instead made it a weekend-long celebration. And if you were there, you know how much fun we had, and if you weren't, I wanted to help share with you what you may have missed and hopefully encourage you to attend next year.
It was a kind of Disney name that tune, and I thought Magic Tunes was just a great way to start the weekend. It was so much fun.
And, being somebody that participated, I really thought that it was important to have a visual element and instead of just the audio element.
I think.
Go ahead. Somebody explain while we're laughing so it doesn't sound like it's an in-joke.
The best was Horizons, but that's.
All right, let me just lead you on. Fred, the way they had it set up was that there was going to be sort of an elimination round, and somebody would be eliminated, somebody would move on to the second round. And at one point, I had moved on to the next round. Deb Wills, who was sitting next to me, was eliminated, and Steve Barrett and Annette Owens were left. And they were having trouble getting some of the clues. So in order to keep the game moving, I tried to give them some sort of visual charades, and I guess maybe my Horizons was a little bit wasn't exactly as evident, since I think Annette said golf ball for some reason.
I think Soren came up.
Soren, right, because she thought I was doing a golf ball. But I think I think the next one is probably the one that, may have sealed my fate.
I see it like it was yesterday.
So Captain EO.
All right, I tried to make it look like I was describing Michael Jackson, and I can't even play. I don't.
No, you can't. You got to picture this. This is the best way I can describe it. So, the funniest part, I think, I didn't know who was funnier. I thought watching Lou. First, he's trying to do the glove thing, but he's flailing his hand around so fast and pointing at it that nobody's getting it. But the best part was that if Deb was watching him and she was copying it. So then Deb is doing it now, too. So they're both trying to frantically make it look like a glove. And then Lou finally gets up and starts, it was just so fast that, nobody was expecting. He gets up and he starts doing the moonwalk. And the whole room, I mean, I think the video is going to say it all, because the whole room at that point just bursts out laughing. It was just hilarious.
No, I think the funniest part about it was, again, my poor kids, I hope they never see that video and have to laugh at their father. But after everybody stops laughing, Steve Barrett just so deadpan goes, Captain EO. Like, come on, I knew it all along.
Now,
so seriously,
was there reference to a nose job in there too, Lou? Because I saw a little bit of nose grabbing.
I was trying to. You know what? Why don't we move on to the rest of the weekend's events? Because I'm digging myself deeper and deeper here. But it was a lot of fun. And
but let's give credit where credit's due. Lou, you did win the event that evening, so kudos to you.
It might have been a pity win. I think they just felt sorry for me after the moonwalk and gave me some easy ones. And something that Fred has been kind enough to allow us to do is hold a Dream Team Project charity auction for the past number of years. We're going to talk about what we did this year number-wise, because I want to talk about some of the other efforts. But last year was our biggest year to date. And tell us what it was, the number that we raised last year, a number that I thought we would never surpass.
Last year's total was $9,000.
Yeah, and my reaction last year of stunned silence.
I don't think you were stunned silence.
Listen,
we had to get you a chair and tissues.
Just call it stunned silence and leave my dignity intact for a little while. But
I think we lost that at the moonwalk, but
yeah, but it's quiet over there, Block. It's really such a. Boy, I knew this was a bad idea. It's really a testament to the community. And I don't mean just one community like the Disney Trivia community or this one's community. It's all of us as community of fans. And somebody said to me the next day that this event is so much about not what you get walking around the tables and winning prizes and doing things, but it's what you give.
Last year, as all total, we had made the $9,000. And thankfully, the economy didn't seem to bother people. Charity won out, and the total for the auction was $19,777.76. And then Lou steps up and says, I'll chip in the balance, and it's an even $20,000.
Wow. Think about that. $20,000. Now, I know I can speak for everybody when I say that no one was expecting that kind of figure this year.
This week's show is very special, as I'll be devoting an entire episode to a single segment, and more importantly, a single man. He is Richard M. Sherman, and you know him as one of the Sherman Brothers, the most successful songwriting team in history, and the name that defines the music and mood of so many Disney films and theme park attractions. Mr. Sherman joins me in this one-on-one interview about his career beginnings, time at the Disney Studios,
working for and with Walt Disney, and the stories behind the stories of working on timeless classics like Mary Poppins and legendary songs such as It's a Small World and hundreds of others.
It was amazing. We walked into the office. We didn't realize we were going to play the song for Disney himself. We played it for this executive, music executive, and he said, "Yeah, that sounds like a great song for the picture. We got to play it for the boss." And I said, "Well, who's the boss?" They said, "Well, Walt Disney, of course." So I said, "You mean we're going to play for this icon?" We never realized we'd ever meet the man himself. We just were in this office, and so he brought us into the actual offices of Walt Disney, and he was sitting behind a desk, very occupied, writing, signing some autographs or something like that, and his opening line to us, "Are you fellas really brothers, or are you just sort of using that name?" Because when I was in vaudeville, we used to have brother acts, and we never were brothers. And it completely threw us because he was so funny and sort of friendly. And we said, "Oh, no, we really have the same parents." And Mr. Disney says, "No, call me Walt, call me Walt." He didn't like to be called Walt, Mr. Disney. The thing about working at the Disney studio under Walt was this. He was a member of the team. He was a great spark plug, a listener, a remarkable listener. He could discern what would work and what wouldn't work. He inspired everybody that worked for him, and everybody is trying so hard to please the boss. I mean, that was the whole thing. And if he told you a story, it was the most important story that ever was told by humankind, because he had this ability to hypnotize you, to get you so excited about some episode of Zorro or something that you just would kill yourself to write the perfect number for it. I mean, we had no idea Louis Prima was going to do it. All we knew was that we were writing about this ape, and we had to write a funny song about a scary ape and make him to be fun instead of scary. And so we made him the king of the swingers, and that gave us a jazz number. Let me just say, we were given an assignment by Walt to write a song that would tell the story of, with broad strokes, of how life has changed through man's ingenuity, man's reaching further, challenging the envelope and going further. But we didn't say to reach out to people in loving kind. We just sort of imply it, because Walt would never want us to lay it down like a trowel, just put it on with a feather. And so we just implied that. He loved implied ideas. It was always, he was very quick to grasp an idea, like a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Has nothing whatever to do with sugar and medicine. It has to do with an attitude. If you have a bright attitude about something, a sweet attitude, a tough job becomes easier. You look at the bright side of it. Feed the birds, tuppence a bag. Has nothing to do with the price of breadcrumbs, 2 pennies to buy breadcrumbs. It says it doesn't take much to be kind and do a kind deed. To give love, it costs nothing. Tuppence is nothing, no money. It's just giving it from yourself, from your heart. But we don't say those words. We just say, feed the birds, tuppence a bag. Oh, my goodness, you really are a researcher. That was great. Yeah, that's exactly what he said to us when we were young guys starting out, and he made the challenge. He said, keep it simple, singable, and sincere. And as he was walking out the door, and he says, and make it original. That was it. And he says, now what kind of song are we going to do? And I remember the first thing popped into my head was, I said, well, it's a tropical room. Let's do a tropical rhythm like a calypso. He says, okay, it's calypso, going to be sung by parrots. And he said, I need this right away because we're going to have to start the whole thing with a song. And I remember Bob and I being songwriters. He said, tiki is a great word. If we played with the word tiki, 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 that sounds kind of cool. So he said, what about if we called it the Tiki, Tiki, Tiki Room? He said, that's it. Okay, you're going to write me that song and explain what it's all about. And with that, we ushered out the door, and we went off to write it in a hurry. And it's the longest-running show song I think it's ever been performed. It's made all kinds of records now. It's 40-some years it's been playing. Yeah. In the Tiki, 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 Tiki Room, that song. I feel blessed that I had the opportunities to write these things. There are a tremendous amount of very gifted people. I'm sure the people that are listening to this, there's a lot of people out there that have a lot to say and are dying to say it. And you got to keep trying and putting your foot in that door and making yourself available, because one day something good can happen. It can happen. He was doing a big sales pitch on what they were doing for the Carousel of Progress, and he wanted us to sing the song. We didn't know he would sing it with us. And he he said, prop the lyric up so we can do it together. So on the piano there, we did one take, really, and sang the song. And he said, kick your heels up when you go off when I tell you to. So, okay, we did that. And there, for the one and only time on film, he actually said, the Sherman Brothers write a lot of the wonderful songs, at the Disney studio. Well, he said wonderful songs to us, but not directly to us. He said it to the GE people. Well, sure enough, he got his money and he finished his pavilion.
And is it true that Feed the Birds really was a personal favorite of Walt's and one that he often would ask you to come in and sing and play for him on the piano?
That's absolutely true. Well, Walt fell in love with that song because when he heard it the first time, when at that first propitious meeting, when we first told him our ideas of how we could do Mary Poppins as a musical, he asked at the end of that meeting, play that Bird Lady thing again. So I played. It was not completed. It was just about 16 bars. I sang it for him, and he listened to it intently, and he said, "That's the whole story, isn't it?" And he said, "That is the story, Walt. That's the story."
I will plead my case once again as to why Peter Pan is undoubtedly the best character ever. And here you go, my legal argument in 60 seconds. He never has to grow up. He can fly. He lives on a beautiful private island that people would pay tens of millions of dollars for in this market. He's got a group of friends that hangs out and plays with them all day. He battles pirates all the time and wins. He's got a little magical pixie thing as a sidekick. Very, very popular among the mermaids and other women fawning over him like the mermaids and Tiger Lily and Wender. And you know what? He's a darn snappy dresser, too. There you go. 60 seconds why Peter Pan's the best character. The marriage of the Henson and the Disney families always just kind of made sense, as they represent the greatest creative talents in family entertainment anywhere in the world, and Muppet Vision is a perfect example. And as part of its success is thanks to my next two guests. They are Jim Lewis and Craig Shaman. They are former creative writers at the Jim Henson Company and two of the incredible talents that helped bring Muppet Vision 3D to life.
It doesn't.
This week's show is a special one, as for the very first time, I'm going to welcome a single guest who joins me as the very first co-host for the day. Winner of the Dream Team Project charity auction lot, Lori Burke is going to pull up a chair and a microphone for a number of segments with me. You may know her as Lori Loves Tigger on the forums, but in real life, she is Lori Burke, and I want to welcome my, first co-host for the day to this week's show. So Lori, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lou. I am so excited to be here. I can't stand it.
Well, I am very excited to have you. Excited, scared, it all means the same thing at this point. So
you should be.
Tell the listeners what you put in as your final and winning bid on the co-host for a day.
Do I have to? Because I never told my husband what it was.
Well, hopefully your husband won't listen, but please do.
It was $500.
All right, I have to ask you the question that I know everybody is thinking. What the heck were you thinking? You know you could have come on the show if you just came to me with a segment idea and didn't have... I mean, I am humbled and flattered and incredibly grateful, but holy cow, Lori.
I don't know. You're worth it, and it was for charity, and it was just, I don't know, just something I always wanted to do, and if you would have had me on the show before, I probably wouldn't have bid on it, but I knew I had to pay to get on here.
Well, again, I cannot thank you enough for doing that and for such generosity.
Oh, this was a blast. I can't wait to do it again.
You what? No trip to Walt Disney World would be no research trip to Walt Disney World would be complete during Food and Wine Festival without a review of the Food and Wine Festival, and no review could be as good as doing a review live at the Food and Wine Festival. So I am joined by Pat Disney Dame Whitson, Val and her husband Steve, and for the first and possibly last time ever on the show, my lovely and talented and oh so supportive of my research trip wife, Deanna. And over in Argentina, the beef and corn pie was like a little... This is what you had. No, he had a great name for this one.
Man quiche. Oh, it was a man quiche. It was a quiche, but it was all beef and good stuff, and it was hot, and...
You felt like a man eating.
It was
beef.
No sissy quiche.
What else is in there?
Beef and corn. I'm not sure there's egg. It's a corn pudding
with peppers and beef and kernels of corn.
And do you feel like a man eating this quiche?
Well, I wouldn't have gone to that description, but...
The thing I really liked, I think the best was the grilled beef with chimichurri sauce. It had like a cilantro and like a basil flavor with mashed potatoes, like a garlicky mashed potato on the side. That was exceptional.
And the meat was definitely very tender, and it did melt in your mouth. It was delicious. It did melt.
Yeah, you can almost cut it with a fork. And why is there actually any left over? Thank you, Pat, for helping to clean that up for us. I've now found somebody who is, like I said, taking the opposite end of the spectrum. We're eating our way. You are, in fact, drinking your way around the world?
I most absolutely am.
Do you even remember what your name is at this point?
I do, but I'm not going to tell it to you.
Just make up a name. All right, we'll call you...
My name is...
Jasmine.
I love Jasmine.
Jasmine. Okay, Jasmine.
It's a good name.
And you're drinking a...
Mango margarita.
From?
Mexico.
Okay, now you said this is not your first... Obviously, this is clearly not your first drink. You said you have recommendations as to what to drink around the world.
Yes. Okay, first of all, mango margarita all the way. Out of any flavor in Mexico, mango is the best, okay?
After the big announcement in July 2008, 3 rounds of challenges, and thousands of online entries and votes, the time has finally come to crown the grand prize winner of the WDW radio show Adventureland Challenge Contest, the true Ultimate Adventurer. But rather than me just read the name, here's the phone call I just made to the winner.
Hello?
Hi, is Kathy there, please?
Yeah, that's me.
Kathy, this is Lou Mongello. How are you?
Hey, how are you doing?
Kathy Adams. You're the winner of the WDW radio show Adventureland Challenge Contest. You are the Ultimate Adventurer, and you're going to Disney World.
Woo-hoo! That's so awesome.
We're going to look at the top 10 sounds of Walt Disney World.
Like a grand and miraculous spaceship. That sounded like Walter Matthau, I think. That was really horrible.
We're going to start off this week with our tribute to the Adventurers Club. To explore the club with me is my friend and internationally recognized Disney historian, Jim Korkis.
Disney tells stories. So every one of these buildings, all of this area, is going to be part of a gigantic story, and it's going to reinforce that story. And to help that out, they created this whole mythology, which became very, very elaborate, and a lot of the design you see in there is Joe Rohde, because what would happen is once a month on Sunday, Joe at his Pasadena house would have what was called the Last Days of the Raj, R-A-J, and it was a celebration of explorers and British colonization of, exotic countries and all that, and they would all go to the Rose Bowl swap meet in Pasadena, and they would pick up masks, and they would pick up figurines and artifacts, and they all come back and all of that. Some of those things actually migrated into the Adventurers Club.
In this week's trip aboard my Walt Disney World Wayback Machine, we're going to travel back to Walt Disney World's very early history, not to look at a show or an attraction, or even a restaurant, although if we had time to, I'd love to stop by the Adventureland veranda and check out JP and the Silver Stars, but instead, we're going to journey back into a time even before Walt Disney World had officially opened to the public. And we're going to sort of set up our explorers' camp on the shores of what's going to be the Seven Seas Lagoon, and we're going to take a look at the lost resorts of the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah, I think I have a little crush on Dory, so I might talk about her a little too much.
Lee Cockrell, former Executive Vice President of Operations at the Walt Disney World Resort, is going to talk with me about his background, work with and for the company, and his new book, Creating Magic, 10 Common Sense Leadership Strategies from a Life at Disney. It's a fascinating look at the work and, more importantly, the people backstage that make the magic for us as guests.
When I put that one strategy in there, make your people your brand, well, in fact, that's what it is. The brand at Disney are the frontline cast members, because I guarantee you, if you go home and you've been here a week, when you think back about what a wonderful experience you have, you'll be thinking about people. You'll be thinking about that lady who helps you at 10 o'clock at night, that guy who helps you in the restaurant. They already know the attractions and entertainment's going to be great. What blows people away are our people. It's incredible.
And we mentioned the word cast members because rather than a cast is a performer, so they don't do their job there. Everyone goes and does their job. At Disney, they perform their jobs.
My first cast experience, I think, was the super waiter Dan at the Concourse Steakhouse, and he just turned an ordinarily meal into something special, pretty much by giving me 2 cream spinaches, which was awesome. But
just notice, by the way, it always comes back to food.
I know it's
right.
food. It's food. That was actually so much for you. I did that as a tribute to you, Lou. So,
point out that exceptional cast member by name. They will appreciate it, and for them, that is what's going to make their day or their memories for them. And I think that's a great way for us to sort of show our appreciation.
And don't forget to get the cream spinach.
Right.
Why do I have a feeling I'm getting 20 cases of cream?
Just in time for Christmas.
It was good.
Well, does everybody here like funnel cakes?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Funnel cakes.
Not together. Not together.
Ooh. Let's see, the top 10 foods we don't want to eat together at Walt Disney World. Next segment. So,
now, Justin, what about you? Now, not from a CMO perspective, but from a guest perspective, because obviously you were a fan first. I mean, were there moments that you found that maybe hit home for you and maybe sort of led you to wanting to get the position that you now have?
I have lots of them, and absolutely none of them include cream spinach. I apologize. I don't want to be out of the loop on this one, but
this week's top 10 might top the list of top 10s as far as those that are very subjective as well as hard to quantify. For this week, Samantha Foster joins me as we discuss our top 10 gulp sentimental moments in Walt Disney World. Those things that just get you all teary-eyed. And joining me, as always, is the man that I promise I will strangle if he gets me all choked up and makes me cry on my own show. Tim, celebrate good times. Come on, Foster.
Yeah, well, I'll steal it. Yours is Wishes. Mine is most definitely Illuminations. And it's, as you said, it's the music, it's the spectacle.
You know, my daughter will never remember when or why I hugged her the way that I did the first time she saw it. And she will never remember it. And she was very, very young. But she, you know, the music and the people and everything else for her. But, I mean, I did it with, a red face and tears in my eyes. And I know that my wife got it. And we sort of just gave each other that look. And I think I just got kicked out of Fight Club. As we were approaching show number 100, a number of listeners emailed me asking what I was going to do, and a few had even suggested that I somehow tie in what we were doing with the show with the Dream Team Project's fundraising efforts. And when talking to Pat Whitson, who's Disney Dame 2004, who, as you know, spearheads the annual Magic Meets auction and gathers donations and leads the wrapping team and doesn't sleep very much in the months coming up to July, and so much more for the charity, the light bulb sort of went off for her anyway. And the idea for 100% of our goal for 100 shows was born. So since we're here, since we finally made it to show 100, I wanted to have Pat join me to give you guys an update on just how we did. So Pat, welcome back.
Thank you, Lou. It's great to be here again.
So I mentioned this on the show after we had talked. You said it just makes sense, 100% of our goal for 100 shows. And I think I threw it out there around show number 93 or so and asked listeners to help out really any way they could so that we could reach 100% of our goal through First Giving, so that money would go over to Make-A-Wish Foundation of America. And at the time, our goal was $45,000. We were at about $40,000 or so when I, put the call out there. So why don't you tell us what happened since then before we give the updated number?
Right, we were sitting, it was just over 40,000, and we'd kind of been sitting there for a little while. And putting out the call, we had 6 weeks, And it's just amazing the response that we received. So many people stepped up, and anywhere from $10 to $200 to $250, $392. It's just amazing the numbers of people that came forward and out of their generosity and the goodness of their heart helped make a milestone for us, which $45,000 to make a wish in 18 months. It's an incredible number, and just so many people that stepped up and made that generous donation that's going to make so many wishes come true.
And it came from so many different ways. Some people did it because they wanted to contribute for 100 shows. Other people, like Tracy and Lori and so many others, were raising money as part of their marathon, quote-unquote, training efforts. Some people just donated, for whatever reason. Like you said, the donations ranged from, small amounts, but every dollar helped, to hundreds of dollars. And every little bit, every donation means the same because everybody was able to help. And honestly, I wasn't sure that we were going to be able to make it. The economy was tough, and I understand that. And then you've got the holidays, and you've got Thanksgiving, and everything else going on. And it's tough sometimes to come up with that little bit of extra money. But, in those last few days, there was that flurry of donations that came in. And as we're recording today, January 4th, 2009, the day that the 100th show at some point is going to go live, give us the total that we have. I can't even say total, the subtotal that we have right now.
Right this minute, First Giving says $45,470.95.
That's
over our 100%. Absolutely amazing. And I just love the spirit. One of the contributors, we reached the 45,000, and then right after that, another contributor came in and said, might as well keep going.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic because there's definitely no shortage of wishes out there. And every dollar just goes to make more magic for more kids.
And it was actually just appropriate when it happened because you and I and our families actually happened to be out having dinner, and simultaneously our cell phones are ringing and buzzing with phone calls and voicemails and text messages from people letting us know that we had reached the goal. So people were watching it very, very closely.
Yes, apparently more closely than we were at that particular moment because we were out eating, and both phones go off at the same time. And I mean, your phone going off is no surprise. My phone going off, that's another story. So we knew something big was going on when it suddenly started chiming repeatedly that there was something was up. And I can't say I've never been happier to be interrupted by the phone at dinner time. To get that message that we had surpassed, had reached the goal and then surpassed the goal, and it's just an amazing feeling. It's just wonderful to know that so many people are out there to help these kids make some dreams come true, and it's a dream come true for us to be a part of it.
Yeah, and it took a little while for it to sink in for us because we were kind of making sure the kids weren't laying on the hibachi table at that point.
Yeah. But, well, wait, we made $45,000. Ryan, get out of the soup.
Yeah. No, Marion, you can't pick Ryan up with your chopsticks. But you're right. And, I've said it from the beginning that I'm just honored to be able to be a part of this. But this is all you guys. This is you who helped coordinate these things, and everybody that donated. You guys did it. And you guys did it, and you should be very happy, and you should be very, very proud because you are making, and for the dog too. You guys will be making a difference, and I'm truly, truly overwhelmed by the outpouring of support, and I cannot say thank you enough again for what you guys are able to do and to let me be a part of it.
I also, I'm just cheerleader here. I'm, come on, team, let's go, team, go, and. There's a lot more teamwork ahead of us.
I was going to say 2008 was beyond anything I ever could have imagined when this first started out, with the $20,000 at Magic Meets and the $45,000 total. And Pat, I think 2009 is going to be something even more special.
It's got a lot ahead of us, and it's going to be spectacular. There's some very exciting things, I think, coming up. The auction is already gearing up. I'm getting already lots of, hey, I've got something for you. And there's some really special items already being procured for us and created. Some new handcrafted things I'm really excited about. And, good thing it's not until August this year, but we'll be ready for that. And I think we'll be seeing a number of other exciting announcements from Dream Team Project as this year goes on.
Absolutely. Well, thanks to you and all the volunteers and all the people that did fundraising on their own in their own different ways, whether it's for the marathon or for the 100th show or for whatever it was, and for every person that donated any amount of money. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all of you. And Pat, thank you again.
And I have to say, I am so proud of all of our marathon and half marathon runners, those who have been raising money. We're going to be down there to cheer you on because you guys are fabulous. We are just so proud of all of you for making that effort for yourselves and for the Dream Team Project. And, there's so many of you to name, but you know who you are running there, and we'll be out there cheering you on.
It's time to announce the winner of last week's trivia contest. First, I want to say thank you to everybody who played, especially over the New Year holiday. But let me recap the questions for you, and they were all about Walt Disney World in 2008. And the first question was, what two Disney resorts celebrated their 20th anniversary in 2008? And they were Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa, which celebrated its anniversary on July 1st, and celebrating its anniversary on October 1st was Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort. Second question asked, Slapstick Studios opened in one of the theme parks. What is that show about, or what does that show highlight? That new interactive experience opened in Interventions West on May 14th at Epcot. It's a 2,900-foot area that includes the What's Your Problem comedy show and a creative solution studio you can decorate and take home your own Velcro frog. So the show, what I was really looking for was Velcro, although if you mentioned a What's Your Problem, I took that as well. And the final question was, what company, as part of a new 10-year alliance with Disney, now sponsors Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith? And the answer to that is Hanes, or Hanes brand. And before I announce the winner, what does he or she receive? They, of course, get the 2009 Walt Disney World Page-a-Day calendar, a copy of the Main Street USA audio guide on CD, and the all-new WDW radio show button that he or she can wear with pride in the parks. And the winner this week is Letitia Cherney. So, Letitia, congratulations. Please send me your address, and I'll get those out to you right away. Now, unfortunately, there's not going to be a new contest this week since the show is probably going on about 6 hours by now. Plus, I'll be away next weekend to cover the marathon in Walt Disney World. But I promise next week I will have another contest with a new prize thrown into the package as well. So thank you all again for playing. Congratulations to you, Letitia, and everybody else who got the answers right. Again, look for a new contest coming next week. I can't even end the show with a straight face by saying that's all the time we have this week. I know the show is very long. My apologies for undoubtedly what is probably the longest show I've ever done. But I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed looking back with me. Thanks to Glenn, Tim, Lori, and George for joining me. And of course, thanks to all of you for listening to the show. Whether it's your first time listening or your 100th, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time, especially this week, to join me. I hope the show helps to bring a little bit of the magic from the Disney parks to you each and every week. I'm so fortunate to have reached 100 shows So thank you again for your support. And of course, I hope to reach 100 more. I hope you'll come along with me on the ride. So a couple other quick notes this week. In honor of the 100th show, I'm going to give you guys a special offer. I'm going to give you my 2009 Walt Disney World Trivia page-a-day calendar for just $5. I've reduced it down to just $5 over at the DisneyWorldTrivia.com store. I'm also going to keep my pre-New Year special of the reduced prices on the audio guides to Walt Disney World, Main Street, and Adventureland. CDs, just $8.99, and the instantly downloadable version is still just $5. So we'll kind of keep that going for a little longer just to celebrate 100 shows. Don't forget, issue 2 of Celebrations magazine is out. You can still subscribe and order back issues of issue 1 or 2 over at celebrationspress.com. And we are still looking for contributions from you, whether it's an article suggestion, photographs that you want to share, or a letter to the editor. You can email me at lou@wdwradio.com. Of course, if you have a question you want read on the air, you can still email me at that address. Or if you want to call in, be on the air yourself, call the new toll-free voicemail line at 888-703-2171. You know I love it when you guys call in. I have to say a big thanks after 100 shows, too, to all of my partners and sponsors, including and especially Mouse Fan Travel for all of your travel needs, Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney. Becky, the owner's on the show all the time. You know I can't speak highly enough about Mouse Fan Travel and all they can do to make your experience even more magical. All-Star Vacation Homes, they still have an exclusive discount just for WDW radio show listeners. That information is on this week's show notes, as well as Owner's Locker. They also have $50 off the sign-up fee. That is still going on just for you guys. Again, the show notes are at WDWradio.com. As promised, I have a lot of exciting things coming up in the next couple of weeks, including some surprises. I'm actually probably going to give you a sneak peek at one of them very, very soon. Maybe I'll even do it through a Twitter post. So if you aren't following me on Twitter, head over to twitter.com. You can sign up for a free account. Just follow my updates at twitter.com/Lou Mongello. Again, you'll find that link at the WDW Radio Show homepage and in the show notes. I'll be in Walt Disney World next week for Marathon Weekend. I'll be updating you from there, including the Where in the World is Lou game from the parks. For those of you who may be following along or playing at home, I'll post pictures, ask you to identify where in Walt Disney World I am. Don't forget, too, if you're going to be in Walt Disney World for Marathon Weekend, Saturday, January 10th at 2 p.m., the Tomorrowland Terrace Noodle Station, the first of the WDW Radio Show Meets of the Month. Come by. It's going to be just a casual gathering of listeners and runners and people cheering on marathoners over at the Noodle Station. Come on by and say hello. Also, if you're on Facebook or thinking about joining Facebook, come on over, add me as a friend. We also have group pages for the WDW Radio Show and Celebrations Magazine. Again, all those links in the show notes. And to comment on, talk about the show with other listeners, go to the forums over at DisneyWorldTrivia.com. Those also are fun, free, very, very welcoming. And of course, I say it all the time, but I mean it sincerely. Thank you all so very much for listening every week. And for 100 weeks in a row, it means so very, very much to me. Like I said, I'm looking forward to the next 100 episodes. All of 2009, I think, is going to be something special. So until next week, keep moving forward. See ya.
Mongello life for me and he searches, records, and interviews us and up me hearty yo-ho. He works all night and never does snooze us and up me hearty yo-ho. Yo-ho, yo-ho, Mongello life for me. He does the best of the best and top tens listen up me hearty yo-ho. Co-host for the day, much cooler than men, listen up me hearty yo-ho. Yo-ho, yo-ho, Mongello life for me. He has news, rumors, and PSI. Listen up, me hearty yo-ho. He always says see ya and never goodbye. Listen up, me hearty yo-ho. He sings, dances, steps into listen up, me hearty yo-ho. And he's a lawyer in case you sue. Listen up, me hearty yo-ho. Yo-ho, yo-ho, Mongello life for me. Eats M&M's, drinks Pepsi Pop. Listen up, me hearty yo-ho. WDW radio never will stop. Listen up, me hearty yo-ho.
Big thanks to Glenn Whalen and Lori Burke for putting their congratulations into song. They actually sent over the lyrics. I'm going to post those over in the show notes. Thank you so much for calling in with that. Thanks to all of you for your voicemails. Here's just a few of the ones that I received over the past week or so.
Hello, Lou. It's Lisa, Little Grammy on the DWT forum.
And Cassidy.
Just calling to congratulate you on
show number 100.
Thanks for all your hard work and time, and a big thank you to Deanna, too, and much, much success in 2009.
Lou Mangello, you've reached 100 shows, and we've enjoyed every one. I hope there's hundreds more to come. Thank you so much for everything you do, Mangello. I love you, and I will listen to you, Lou.
Hey, Lou, this is Jesse. I thought you reaching 100 shows was a pretty good excuse for me to write you another song. I hope you enjoyed it. Congratulations, and keep the shows rolling along.
Hi, Lou. This is Chuck from the Disney Daddy blog over at disneydaddy.blogspot.com. Wanted to tell you congratulations on your 100th episode of the WDW radio show. I've been listening to it since the very first episode, and I tell you what, it has been a whole lot of fun. From top 10s with Tim, Samantha, whoever that guy is, to the magazine, to DSIs, and the best of the best, the WDW radio show has been a wealth of Disney news, information, and entertainment. So congratulations on your 100th episode, and we look forward to 100 more.
Hi, Lou. This is Tony from Ocean View, New Jersey. I'm calling to congratulate you on reaching 100 shows. I truly appreciate all the time and effort that goes into producing each week's show. Keep up the great work. Thanks.
Hi, Lou. This is Ricky from the Be Our Guest podcast. On behalf of our podcast family, congratulations on reaching your 100th episode. Keep up the great work, and we'll see you real soon.
Disney World's a place where I love to go. All the hidden Mickeys I surely know. But I live far away, I can't go every day. It's a good thing that I have WDW Radio. It helps my Disney knowledge grow. Hosted by Lou Mangello, it's my favorite podcast show. Looking into things with a DSI, and the rumor mill gets my hopes held high. Memories clearly seen in the